can't carry it for you, listeners, but I can carry you. Hello, my name is Bobby Shortle, and I'm here with Nick Rocco Scalia, and we are the Intrepid Filmographers. Every mini-series, we chart a course to the full filmography of an under-discussed genre or journeyman filmmaker. In this exposition, we do our best to try to be explorers, using our years of film knowledge to help guide us, but always being open to discovering new things about the medium we love so much. This week, we continue our special expedition into the films of Peter Jackson and conclude our epic journey into his opus, The Lord of the Rings, with The Return of the King, and find out if we could die side by side with a friend. Nick, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing good. We've been there and back again, Bobby. We've really covered a lot of ground over the last few weeks.
We have. There's still room for a little more, and that little more is our guest this evening,
little more.
Mr. Brian Verderosa. Thank you for joining us.
Well, what do you say? Hey, huh? That was a choice.
I don't know what the choice was.
It was, yeah.
It was certainly a choice. It was nothing to do with Lord or any of the impressions we were doing before we did record.
That's in the extended edition.
Yeah,
we have not seen.
You know how, like a hypnotist show, people will be like, I knew I was doing the whole time. But then also, this thing was kind of weird where I just kind of like wasn't in charge. That's what just happened.
Yeah. I hypnotized you into making a fool out of
yourself.
Was
there, weirdly, I saw you like looking
in 1999.
Very distinctly over to something on your left. Is that what hypnotized you? It was like the video from The Ring or something. We're actually talking about The Lord of the Rings tonight.
We are. So, Nick, is this the last time Brian was on the show was Gone Baby Gone. We did a lot of impressions on that show. And we had a fun time roasting Nick because he called it a dual protagonist film.
Yeah, like it is. Yeah.
I've been terrified to listen to that show because of my choices regarding Morgan Freeman impressions.
It was a decent choice.
See, like, I'm also terrified to listen to it because I sounded like a jackass that night because I love that movie so much. But if there's offensive Morgan Freeman's impressions done by you, then that actually brings me down a level and that kind of evens out, I feel like. So I'm looking forward now to listening to it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Always glad to have you. Ghost of the podcast, Brian Verderosa is here. That's what we call you because we talk about you a fair amount, almost probably at least once every 2 episodes. We talk about you. So you're here. We're talking about Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. Obviously, Nick and I have discussed both Fellowship and Two Towers already. We've gone extensively into our feelings on both those movies and our experiences seeing them and just our Lord of the Rings sort of like vibes and thoughts overall. But Brian, obviously you don't have to go through your experiences seeing all 3 movies, but I should ask, like, just in general, when these movies came out, 2001, 2002, 2003, had you read the books? Have you read the books? Do you remember what your feelings were going into them, your excitement level, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'll try and do this as succinctly as I can. I mean, I remember I've not read the books before or since, and it's something I've always wanted to do and I haven't. I remember that first teaser. I remember, like, what is this? I've heard of that, but they're making a movie. They're making movies. Okay, because I mean, it's you're seeing that trailer in 2000, the teaser in 2000, and like moviepoopshoot.com is kind of a thing, right? Like, I mean, like you could. You would go to Coming Attractions by Corona and read a little bit about what movies were in development hell, but the internet of that time was not anything close to what we have. So I was aware of it.
QuickTime.com.
Arguably, it was better. I thought you were going to say JoeBlow.com, but
no. So I was like, okay, that sounds cool, and then I was already a fan of The Frighteners, so I hadn't seen anything else. But I knew that this guy made a movie I really loved. And I'm like, that's interesting. Okay, we'll see what happens. And I went to see Fellowship in, December of 2001 and was blown away. I was remarking to my wife, again, because of that time, of that internet age, the idea that I could have not read the books, been as wildly into these movies as I was. I saw Fellowship, I think, 4 times and Two Towers maybe 7 times in the theater, something like that. It was during a big like movie going time. That like not knowing how it ends and being surprised the first time was this incredible gift because it would never happen today. You'd have to just say, like looking at the Oasis set list, a joke I made in pre-show. So yeah,
I was. Game of Thrones is a good analog, right? To this.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, totally.
In a more modern era, which is not even as hyper modern as we are now, obviously. but a set of books that were storied that are having adaptation currently, and you were dodging both spoilers from, the internet and just your friends who were like, oh, you didn't read the book, so I can talk about this if I want to, like that kind of thing. Sorry, Brian, go ahead.
Right. No, that's fine. And so I was very into them. I thought they were incredible pieces of filmmaking, and I still do. And I'm not sure if I have on one of these shows remarked about my Interstellar hate of the promise that movie gave me that I was so let down by. But I walked into that movie and The Return of the King both thinking that this might be the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life. And I don't know that I've had anything. I mean, not Endgame was a different beast, because it was more like, can you stick the landing? Not will this be the best movie of all time?
Mm-hmm.
But I felt that way with this. I was like, I could very much walk out and be like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Does Nick know about the thing we have for him?
No, he doesn't know.
So, Nick, I need you to help jog my memory here, because actually, Bobby, I need you to help me, because I was very, very fortunate about being able to see The Return of the King early.
Mm-hmm.
The movie came out on Friday, December 17th of 2003. Trilogy Tuesday would have been the Tuesday before. I'm sorry, was it a Wednesday?
No, it would have been Trilogy Tuesday. Would have been the Wednesday. The release date was on Wednesday. All the Lord of the Rings movies came out on Wednesdays. So
it did.
Yeah,
maybe that's
so
that's what it is. Okay, hold on, because what my brain is breaking, because I remember saying to people forever that I saw the movie 6 days early. And this sounds like, it is silly because it's just movies and who cares, whatever. But, when you're so rabid about something like that, not being able to see it again for 6 days, I'm 19, we're all 18, 19, 20, we're all in this like really formative time, right? It was maddening. Like, I couldn't just be like, oh, I got to go again, to wait. And you can't talk about it with anybody. But I was able to get a bunch of people into that screening. Bobby, were you one of them?
No, I was not.
Because I know, I think it was Colleen and Danny Ritterizer. I don't know if there was anyone else. If it was, probably Golio. It was probably Golio and then those two. But these
are all friends of ours from high school time.
Yep.
Brian's saying them like everyone knows about
baseball. I knew Brian at the time and I'm somehow involved in this apparently, but I don't know any of those people.
Right. They did all come out on Wednesdays, right? So Wednesday was December 17th.
I'm assuming it had to.
Yeah, it had to be, right. So, whenever you want to bring out the thing, we can bring out the thing.
So I will preface the thing that we have. So I think I mentioned this to you, Nick, when we were talking about fellowship. I was sitting in computer lab at college.
That sounds so fake. I was at college.
I was in college.
The whole time.
And they had rooms where they just had computers that you would go into, because not everyone had a computer they could just use all the time. And I had my school email. It must have been my school email open. And I get an email from Brian. And I open it, and it is an early review of Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. And I can't remember if it was in the text of the review at the time and it eventually got taken out or whatever, or it's just the email body. But you said exactly those words. I remember reading them. This might be the greatest movie I've ever seen, or whatever. That's like you were talking about your experience. And I was talking about this with Brian when I asked him to be on the show, and he was like, "Oh man, I don't even remember doing that." And then today I was like, you know what? I tried to see if I could find,
because you've had an AOL address that's for 20 something years, right?
Forever. For my parents still have that account. I went on my AOL email, it's empty. I can't get onto my old school email. Obviously, I looked at all my other email addresses I've had that I have access to, couldn't find it. I Googled to see if the Hartford University had digitized all of their newspapers.
Machine.
Yeah, Wayback Machine, try to find something. No. So I text Brian and I go, hey, I really tried really hard. I couldn't find it. And Brian goes, oh, shit. I keep meaning to ask somebody if they can track it down. And I would say, I don't know, 20 minutes later, I have a text message from Brian with a picture of the newspaper and his review of Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King from, December 11th, 2003.
What's funny about this is that Nick was the entertainment editor of the newspaper at the time. We worked together we went to college together. We worked together at the college paper. So what I'm struggling with, and I'm wondering, I'm really curious, but I have not looked at the full text of this review. I just found it. I sent it to Bobby because I didn't know what we were doing. I don't know if I'm reading it, if Bobby's reading it, whatever. But we famously stole a tagline from another school about their newspaper. We put out on Thursdays. So that's when the paper came out, and it says it right there. It says Thursday, December 11th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which would have been 6 days before the movie came out.
Yeah.
But the paper, we always put it together on Wednesdays. And I know this is a level of minutia we do not need to really, but I'm going crazy because I don't know. This is what's getting me under going nuts. I don't know if I wrote I wrote the review earnestly. Like, I don't know if what's in that paper is actually me having seen the movie or if I just wrote it as if I've already seen it. Because I don't remember writing it. I remember thinking to myself, I'm doing a top 5 list and I'm putting Return of the King at number 1 because it will be. And that level of 19-year-old douchebaggery. But
well, that would make. I'll read some of the review. Okay, I'm not going to read the whole text of the review.
Wait a minute. So I was the editor at the time, so I must have seen this, and I feel like I would have said if you just made up some bullshit and hadn't seen the movie, I'd like to think I had the journalistic integrity to not publish that. I don't know if that's true because I was 20 years old or whatever, but
yeah, I just don't know if we did a fake out, if we printed it on Thursday, put Thursday's because a college having a paper come out on the 11th is pretty late. Like, that's pretty late for a semester. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you held it for me, if this is like that scene in the paper when Keaton and Quaid are like, you have 3 minutes to write this copy, you know.
Well, here's what I will say about the review having read it. You don't say anything specific about the movie at all.
Oh, no. Is it possible? Okay,
it's possible. Here's what I posit.
No, Bobby, I'm saying, is it possible that the real review that you read in college
is not this? I don't think so.
Because it would have been after I actually saw it, and okay,
yeah.
Oh man,
my guess will be this. My guess, to give you both some cover, journalistic cover, because they know they're coming for you. They're coming for you.
Need to, yeah.
You know, Bari Weiss is coming for you, or whatever the fuck.
She's running CBS now, right?
Yeah, great.
I want that as a little sound clip I can play. Yeah, great.
Here's what I'll say. My guess, knowing both of you, and knowing that I don't think either of you would publish something that you weren't sure is true, my guess is that Brian writes this review, which is mostly talking about things around the movie, like summarizing the past movies, talking about that the movie might win an Oscar, is going to win Best Picture. But, said some plaudits about the movie, but nothing specific. Is that you wrote it thinking like, this is how I'm going to feel about it. And maybe you saw the movie and you were like, okay, go. You can print it. It's true. Because a lot of times press screenings are in the morning a lot of the time, right? Was it a press screening?
It was a press screening about 10 a.m.
Yeah,
but
so that
it wouldn't have mattered. We always sent the paper Wednesday night.
Well, maybe you didn't
drove it up.
Maybe you didn't. Maybe you saw it earlier than you thought, Brian.
Maybe. All right.
Because okay.
I'm wondering why young me gave you that review. It was my decision, and I.
And it says Brian Verderosa, news editor, right here. So he wasn't even an entertainment.
That's true.
Editor.
Yeah, you were working. I was working for you. I guess at the time.
Maybe you'd gone home for the semester and I got to play with the.
You're just minding the store.
I always hung out. I always stretched out my semesters as long as I could.
All right. Okay, I'm going to read some excerpts. Okay.
Oh no. All right.
There is both nothing and everything to say about arguably the greatest, most ambitious film project in history, the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
I feel like I remember that. Yeah.
The greatest, most ambitious film project in history. Period. I'm sorry. The Lord of the Rings trilogy is bigger and bolder than anything ever before seen on screen, and the series' final installment, The Return of the King, merely ups the ante from its predecessors. And then there's a lot of words going like, hopefully you're not going to see this without seeing the other movies, but in case you are, here's a quick summary of the other movies. You do end it with, still with me? Good. That's just about all that words can do to explain the situation. The rest has to be experienced with your eyes and ears. And most importantly, your heart.
Yes.
Oh, God. Okay.
The
that was
Return
worth
of the
doing
King.
this whole series, by the way.
The Return of the King
Made my
is not
night.
only one of the most rousing adventure films of all time, it's also one of the most emotionally involving. Which is true. So that's possible that you
I
did
don't
see the
disagree
movie.
with any of that. Yeah.
These characters, whom you have spent, if you take into account the extra footage included in the special extended editions, which of course here on this podcast we do, the better part of 7 hours connecting connecting with. There's some punctuation missing from this fucking sentence. Connecting with are finally coming to the conclusion of their respective journeys, and you can't help but feel like the 10th member of the fellowship. Oh, but you can't help but feel like the 10th member of the fellowship along for the ride while watching. Now you explain how you haven't read the books. You made a choice to not do it, Brian. Of course, you made a very conscious choice not to read the books then or in the 25 years since. And you say it would be wiser to assume that those reading do not know the story. So wise I shall be. As much as I want to reveal the moments that made me cheer wildly, it would be much better to leave them to the viewer to discover him or herself.
Keep your secrets, Gandalf.
Keep your secrets.
This does sound like editor tells you to write review.
Yeah.
Can't get you into the press screening. So figure it out.
And then you talk about the history. It's going to win Best Picture. It'll be the first sequel to a movie that didn't already win Best Picture to win. It'll be the first third movie to win. You say all that stuff, classic Brian stuff, which everybody needs to see in a review, is that this will one day win Best Picture. And then you close it up with this. Peter Jackson has created a saga which will live on for ages. Nobody will touch The Lord of the Rings for the next 60 years, even with advances in technology. We're sure will come. The Return of the King is not only the best picture of the year, it's a cinematic reminder of why movies exist. Which is I don't disagree with, but again is a general-ass statement.
It is, but yeah, I mean, we were a couple episodes ago, we were talking about this, right? Like the magnitude of these movies and seeing these, we were just kind of discussing this idea that like, okay, this is what movies can be now. And we're going to see so much more like this because they were successful, because they were so big, because they were so good. You know, these are like mass audience blockbuster movies that are like some of the greatest films ever made. And the bar has been set so high. And like Brian saying whenever in 2003 that it's not going to be touched for another 60 years. Well, like we're already like a third into that and you're still right, you know, like.
No, I'm not. The Rings of Power exists. They're touching it.
It means the source material.
A movie.
They're touching it like you touch the doll or you show on the doll where you were touched. Yeah. I just want to add one thing to this. I thought you were going to mention, I think a couple of months later when the Oscars came out in 2004, when this film was in contention, that was the first edition of the Scalia Awards, which was a stupid ass column that I did, which was just me making jokes about the Oscar movies. And I named Shelob Best Supporting Spider that year, which I thought was hilarious at the time.
Oh God.
No, we need to get that issue.
I have a source. I have a source.
He's got a source. He's got a guy.
It's like an old guy in the printing room, you know, he goes there, gives him a $5.
Well, again,
the
real story is that the last like 2 or 3 years, I've been the advisor to the paper, but I left that job 5 months ago. So I texted
because when I was looking for the review, the only thing that came up was farewell to Brian Verderosa from the Hartford Informant or whatever the hell it's called.
Informant. I like that better, actually.
Informer? Is that what is it?
Informer. Yeah.
It was the Informer, yeah.
Okay. All right. And when I searched Return of the King on the website, the first story that came up was something about Lindsay Lohan. So I don't know what.
The stuff we did at that paper, you know, I just went to, remember Something Awful did like Photoshop Friday?
All right. I'm going to put a moratorium on this. We need to start talking about the movie.
I'll just tell you, and Nick signed off on it. We printed 2 fake movie posters from Photoshop Friday. The Lizzie McGuire Has a Plastic Leg movie and The Passion of the RoboCop.
Those sure sound like jokes 19 and 20-year-olds would make and think are hilarious.
43-year-old me thinks the Lizzie McGuire.
Get us back on track, Bobby.
Yeah. So, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. We established open on December 17th, 2003. I went to Trilogy Tuesday. Did anybody else go to Trilogy Tuesday?
I went to Syracuse. So I was able to see it on... hold on.
I think you're fine.
I hit a button that wasn't the same button. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd seen it. I believe that Thursday the 11th,
Mhm.
and then on Tuesday I drove to Syracuse because the closest theater on the island you went, right?
Yeah, I went in Farmingdale. Is where I
I
went.
mean, and that was sold out, and so I drove to Syracuse to see it, and it was amazing. I still have my the thing with the film.
Yeah, like the lithograph thing or whatever. Yeah.
No, it was 3 cells in like a little
Yeah. So you're absolutely right. Yeah, that's yes, absolutely. Did you go to Trilogy Tuesday night?
No, we did. That's the day it came out, like the day before.
So they did.
before.
The day before they did Fellowship extended, Two Towers extended, like a little
on
break
35.
a little break for dinner, and then Return of the King.
No, the day it came out, I guess it was the Wednesday, we did the 2 extended editions at like my buddy's apartment and like a bunch of people. We wanted to not be in a
You did
theater.
the budget version.
We did the budget version and the beer fueled version because we just drank all day watching those movies. And then I think we did a midnight screening of Return of the King.
Yeah. So
Because at the time, that's what you did. I would like
that's the only way you could do it. Then
right now is like ghastly to me.
I went
Starting
to a movie
at midnight. That's 3 hours and 20 minutes long.
Yeah. When I saw Weapons, I saw it at like 9:50, and I was like, "This is so late."
Right, for any younger people listening, that's an absolutely true thing. 25 years ago, it didn't exist. Then 20 years ago, you had to go at midnight, and 10 years ago, it was 10 p.m.s, and now it's come
Thursday.
When's good for you? Thursday. Just when's good for you? Yeah.
I feel like they do start in the second half of the day. Usually, they don't do like a full day of shows, but they do like
But it's still so
full
funny
evening.
that it's so funny that they fold it into Friday. It's just all fake numbers.
Yeah, I know. I remember when I think the first movie I saw earlier than midnight the night before was Mission Impossible 3. I think was at like 10 o'clock or something like that. And I was like, oh my God, like this is amazing.
That's amazing.
But anyway, went to Trilogy Tuesday, went with a couple of big Lord of the Rings nuts. And then also a couple of people were just like wanted to be part of the experience. And I was like, are you sure? Because we're going to be there for a long time and you're going to be surrounded by the nerdiest people who have ever lived. So you just have to, they're going to be cheering at every single thing that happens. They're going to be crying at everything. Like it's going to be a lot. People are going to be dressed up. They were in for it. So, and it was a great time. It was a great day. I saw it Trilogy Tuesday and then I saw it the next day. And then I probably saw it like a couple days later when I went home from college and I was always taking my parents, but I was definitely not disappointed at the time, for sure. And I guess, Brian, where do you place this in the 3 for you?
I've waffled.
What did you what version did you watch
I've never seen the extended version of Return of the King.
That's crazy.
Because for me, I was explaining this to Jill, like, if, Fellowship comes out, and I think it was like November was when the DVD came out of the extended edition. Yep, about a month before Two Towers hits theaters, and like you want to soak in all the stuff. We have a month to go. Let's get it going, and same thing for Two Towers. It was just this cycle. But I kind of just felt like after I'd seen Return of the King, that version was so good to me, and 4 hours, 3 minutes, whatever it is. I'm like, oh, come on. I've only seen Two Towers extended twice. And
Gotcha.
Once was that Trilogy Tuesday theatrical. So I prefer the theatrical versions. If I had to pick an extended, I've only seen 2, but I would take Fellowship. But for a long time, I've said Return of the King was my favorite. And this viewing to do this show locked in for me that Fellowship is my favorite.
Yeah. Okay. So you put the second though.
Fellowship, Return of the King, Two Towers.
Yeah. Okay. So I would say like the way I've usually been has been 1 is by far my favorite. Like it's not even a close. Like there's no contest for me. And they're all 5.
You've never changed. Yeah. It's 199 and 97. Is it like
yeah,
what it is?
but it's not even maybe that. It's like 100, 99.5, 99.3.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's like not even like they're all 5-star movies for me. I use a 5-star scale. I know you guys use 4. But
like civilized people do. Yeah.
like civilized. Yeah, right. He's out here in the Wild West with no rules, Nick.
Excuse me. I would say that the most popular way to rate movies right now would be on a 5-star scale, gentlemen.
Okay, but now is the worst time in
Letterboxd?
human history. So Roger Ebert was fine with 4 stars. So how can we not
and
be?
he's dead.
That fifth star is what killed him.
It's because he wouldn't get that fifth star. That's why. But for the most part, it always been for me 1, 2, 3. Like Fellowship would be 1, Two Towers would be 2, Return of the King would be 3 for me.
But wait, have we discussed? We've been talking of these movies for weeks. I thought you were the same as me, where you're.
No, but previously I was like 1, 2, 3. Again, very close. But after watching it this time, which for a set of movies that I have watched, a cascading amount of times, but a lot, all of them I've watched at least.
More than 20, less than 50?
No, I mean, Fellowship I've watched the most, which is probably like 25 times. And then all of them are a little bit less, because I was telling Nick the other on Two Towers, I never watch one and don't watch the others. So it's like, they're going to catch up, right? But this time watching them, I came away being like, no, Return of the King is solidly number 2 for me. And then Two Towers is number 3 for me at this point. And I guess, Nick, you're the same way. 3, we're all the same. 1, 3, 2?
I am, yeah 1, 3, 2, although this one has really kind of risen in stature for me. It's the one I've seen the least because unlike you, I can watch any one of these as one self-contained thing. So
what a crazy thing to do.
I know it's the one I've seen the least, but I was kind of blown away by how much I loved Two Towers this time, and I feel like it just not that they're all 5. They're all 4-star movies.
Oh,
Bobby.
look what he did!
Perfect movies.
Got him.
But yeah. Touche. Two Towers was just so good, and I always it's like the neglected child, the middle child. My wife's the middle child of 3, and that she's always said, like, that's the one that in every family. I'm an only child, so I didn't have to worry about that. But the middle child gets kind of neglected, and it's like you don't have kind of the freedom of the younger child, and you don't have the the first, like, the new thing, right, as the older one would be. And so the second one's the one that gets a little bit forgotten about, and it's so good. And now, I'm still going to go 1, 3, 2, but like, it's much, much harder for me to make a case for it. I feel like, I enjoyed the Two Towers so very much, and I got so much out of it. And I feel like that's the one that stands alone the best in some sense. And so, I could see myself just watching the Two Towers at some point and be like, that's maybe the best of these movies. But
Nick, once again, bringing the insane takes, like, it's the most dependent on the what comes before and what comes after.
I disagree, because it has the most, like, the Battle of Helm's Deep. It
leaves off with Frodo and Sam being like, well, I guess we gotta go to a Nug's place.
But the stuff at Helm's Deep is like, that's a movie in and of itself. And I think it's the one thing in this trilogy that you could separate out. Like, it's also the one thing that's almost extraneous, right? Like, it's like a little side quest in the middle of this trilogy. And I really like that about it. It's something that, although a lot of stuff is paid off in the last one, that one I think works really nicely as a standalone. That said, I'm having trouble. I've always said Fellowship was my favorite. Seeing that one in the theater was one of my favorite theatrical experiences of all time. But Return of the King is so fucking good. And everything about it is just like, I don't know. It's interestingly, and this is what I was kind of thinking of this time. Of the 3, it is the longest, it is the biggest, it is the most epic, it's the conclusion of the story. It's the one where we don't really meet too many new characters. There's a few, you can't do a trilogy like this without introducing some stuff late in the game like you wouldn't do in a feature film. But like, in terms of the ground they cover, the amount of story here, like, I feel like this is the one you could talk about in the most, kind of straightforward way. Like, it does follow, the 2 separate paths that the other ones do. But like, the least amount of stuff happens in Return of the King, and yet it is the biggest and baddest of all 3 of them also, like, kind of at the same time. Does that make sense?
I mean, it does, though. I would argue that I would disagree that the least stuff happens. I mean, I think,
well, it's
the most stuff happens to me.
It's the simplest of the 3 in some sense.
I mean, I think one is the simplest, and that's why I think I like it as much as I do, because it is a very straightforward. We're going to go from here to here,
but it introduces the entire world.
Yeah.
But its big set piece is one fight with a bunch of orcs.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly,
a
great fight,
and those stakes feel as big as 10,000 troops in this one.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
Well, going back to Brian's review,
right, the idea
of
calling Fellowship small is weird, but yeah.
But, it is. And I remember thinking this at the time, too. It's like Two Towers ups the ante in terms of the scale and the set pieces and all that. And it's like, oh, shit, this third movie is going to have to go to that next level. And it actually does. It really is. It is the biggest of the three. And, again, just it's all starting to make more to click into place for me a little better, because my memories of this trilogy are not from one movie, as we've talked about a little bit, or as I've talked about a little bit, where I remember these scenes, I remember these moments like, oh, that's in Two Towers, right? Or that's the end of the Fellowship. Like the Eagles, I forgot the Eagles don't show up till this movie. And I was like, don't we see a bunch of those Eagles?
You see any?
He's
doing a little Big Lebowski quote.
Bobby
Eagle
feels more
does show
street
up
cred now.
I do, because I saw it for the first time. I know that the Eagle show up in the first movie.
Driver.
Eagle shows up in the first movie. Saves Gandalf off the top of Orthanc.
Yeah. But I remember, some stuff from this one is like now I'm starting to straighten it out. Now I feel like I could piece them together better and talk about them in a way that makes me sound like I've actually seen them before more than once.
That's good.
Which is nice.
Considering we've done now 3 podcasts on them.
We were talking about how, this movie, it's so big and now this is how movies will be from now on, blah, blah, blah. But it also was the last time there was a score, it feels like.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
We've had over 20 years of movie making. And again, if you went to Comic-Con, because you need the nerds, and you said, come me a theme from a motion picture from the last 20 years.
Yeah, a movie that you've seen 20 times, into the Spider-Verse or something.
You're gonna get some of Sylvester the Avengers, and you're gonna get some. I don't know. So, what Shore does in this thing is it's Into the West, that's the Return of the King theme. It's independent of Fellowship and the rest of it. It's just a marvelous score.
So yeah, they we didn't talk about this in the Two Towers, but originally the Two Towers score wasn't even going to be eligible to be nominated for an Academy Award because they said it used too much from the previous, and they gave Howard Shore a special dispensation to allow it to be qualified. It didn't end up getting nominated anyway because they were in their whole we'll give it picture, we'll give it some tech stuff, but we're not giving anything else because next time
it got 6 nominations.
Yeah, it got. Well, I think the only above the line nomination it got was picture, though. I think everything else was below the line. I think. No, it didn't. No, Two Towers didn't get a director nomination,
which surprised me. But yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So and obviously then it wins. How many does it win? How many does Return of the King win? 11. It's nominated for.
It was 13. It was 13 nominations for Fellowship, with I think 4 wins.
Something like that, yeah.
6 for Two Towers with maybe 1.
We talked about this. I think it was 2, I think, or something like that.
And then 11 for 11.
Yeah, 11 for 11 for this. It didn't get any acting nominations, which is crazy that it didn't get any acting nominations.
Right. McKellen for Fellowship was the only acting nomination in the whole trilogy, right?
Yep, absolutely. Real. Sean Astin really got screwed.
I know.
Yeah.
I had
either one of these movies, neither one of the Two Towers or Return of the King.
I had this moment during this that and I don't want to live in this negative space, but there are people out there, and I'm thinking of a very specific person, but there are people who just this is just nerd shit. It's so stupid. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. That's okay.
Mm-mm.
But don't ever tell me that this is bad.
No. Well, I would say this. I think that, we're of a generation where we saw the sort of rise and acceptance of nerd culture, and to the point where it metastasized and malignized into something kind of shitty, by the end. But I think people now don't have any of that feeling about the people of who are younger than us don't have any of that feeling about these movies about it being nerd shit. I think it's just these are some of those movies we grew up hearing about these movies, our movies that our parents loved that were the greatest of all time. These movies are just in that conversation, So
I did catch something bad though when they're riding to the Black Gate. There's a process shot on Mortensen that looks like someone traced him in. Like there's like a white outline over him. And I'm like, what?
Oh, one sort of bad effect shot in a trilogy where there's like
Yeah, I know.
tens of thousands of them. How
I
dare
mean, I would
they?
say this movie of the three is the one that I think is the most bumping up against what the technology can do and what the vision for what they want to do is. You know, there are a couple moments in this movie where I'm like, that doesn't hold up. You know, like a lot of it does. So much of it does because it's so gorgeously art directed as well as being, you know, really great effects. So I think we'll talk about that as we go through. But let's start going through the movie a little bit. Obviously, we're not going to go scene by scene, but I do want to talk about that opening scene, right? The Smeagol scene, which when we talked last time,
Hey,
like,
this is what Andy Serkis looks like.
Yeah, this was the scene that made like Peter Jackson go to the team and go like, you've got to make him look like Andy Serkis, like because like he is Andy Serkis is the guy, you know. I think the scene is great. I think it brings out some of that stuff, Nick, you and I have been talking about through these episodes of like the creepiness of what Jackson can do, like the sound design, the way it's shot, the music in these scenes. This feels the most like Heavenly Creatures-ish of probably anything in any of these movies, right?
Well, I kind of disagree. We had to talk about Minas Tirith, the Barovnian capital that we go to later in this movie. Yeah, I love this scene. And actually, I forgot how this movie opened. And what a cool thing to do where you are expecting, this is the longest, it's the end, this is the trilogy capper. The second one ends on this like very epic sort of note, that incredible shot of Mount Doom. And then there's just like two guys in the boat. It starts a real tight close up on a worm wriggling in Andy Serkis's hand. And I love that choice, right? Like we know this is going to be the biggest movie ever. And we're going to start literally as small as you can possibly go with a tiny little creature and two little fingertips. I love that.
Yeah. And I love especially too that this scene reuses a bunch of shots, a couple shots that we've seen previously, like in the montages, like the hand grabbing the ring, the cleaning off of the ring, but it recontextualizes them, you know, into like, no, this is actually what happened, like not like the sort of like Cliff Notes version of what happened. And I really like that a lot. And I love how brutal like the strangling is. Like it's very brutal. It's very disturbing. And the sort of, I don't know, like Kafka-esque like descent of Smeagol into Gollum and the way that it transitions from the practical makeup into the digital effect. I love all that stuff. I love how gross he looks when he's crawling into the mountains. Obviously, the close-up of him eating the fish, and
he's
see
like more corpse-like in this scene than he is later on. We see him. He like his skin gets a little better over those thousands of years or whatever. You mentioned you brought some people to see this the first time. Had they not seen the first two, like the ones who were not Lord of the Rings fans?
I think they had seen them, but I mean, again, I took them to Trilogy Tuesday, so they saw the first two.
Oh, okay.
Like before anyway. So
wow, that's a huge commitment.
Yeah,
that's what I think this scene does in a really sort of nicely compressed way is it's like all the different tones and flavors of this series kind of all in one place. Like it starts out kind of goofy and comedic, like very Dead Alive-ish if we're just talking about Peter Jackson, and then very quickly it turns incredibly dark and epic, and you know we're spanning years. We're seeing him kind of like deteriorate over time. And so
that shot of Deagle in the water is very cartoony and very like
yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But then, we're getting like one of the scariest visions of Gollum that we see in the entire trilogy there. And it's like, here is the breadth of what this trilogy has done. We can go from very goofy, silly, comedic to like the darkest dread-filled. Like this is a really dark movie. I forgot how much just like impending doom just hangs over pretty much every scene in this until the end, until finally everything is resolved, and it takes obviously a very long time to get there. This is not like a feel-good movie at all. There's rousing moments, of course, in between, but the thought that the world is about to end, and Brian, you and I had the same experience, right? Like I was for sure that all of these characters that we love had to die in this movie, right? Like that's what this movie is going to be. Like, we've been setting up this epic journey. They are sacrificing themselves for the world because that's how stories usually work, right? There is no easier way to sort of tug at an audience's heartstrings and kill a character they really love so much. And the fact that
started with 9, and now there's 8. Oh, I get out with 4. I think I'll be happy.
That's exactly. I was yes. We were kind of doing that calculus, seeing it as people who didn't know the story. And, I was kind of blown away by the fact that, we didn't have to pull that cheap tactics. We have the emotional engagement in all this without just, cheap death scenes, which, Game of Thrones did the opposite of that, right?
Yeah, of course.
If just this past, viewing, I was trying to go back and be like, okay, when were the moments? Like, I didn't think that Pippin was gone. God, that fucking death speech is.
Yeah, we'll get to it. We'll get to.
It's the beginning of the waterworks, but
yeah,
Merry being kind of looks like he might be trampled. You know, he's got blood on the corner of his mouth, and I'm like, okay, bye, Merry. Oh no, fine. And then you know, so many times with Sam and Frodo, like,
yeah, of course.
And again, it's just good storytelling to keeping you guessing about that. But I was blown away. I mean, they're all back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does Frodo not carry the ring and just, you know, eventually, because he struggles so much with it throughout this film, how does he not jump into the fire himself? Like, that's the ending. That's the easy ending, right? We always talk about the lesser version of a story. That is the obvious lesser version of the story. And that moment would have worked. That would have hit hard.
Well, it's also sorry, Brian, go ahead. You didn't go ahead.
No. I'm just saying, you know, they're so close. And then you see Gollum, and I said out loud, this fucking guy.
Yeah, I know. It's how you feel. I feel every time of the 20 times I've watched it. That's how I feel. You know, I think it's also the fact that, bringing it back to the books, that Tolkien was not a fiction writer by trade, you know? And so I think a lot of these decisions we're talking about are not necessarily made because he's like, oh, this is the cleverest way to do this. He's just like, this is the story I want to tell. And I think if somebody was a more seasoned writer, or someone who was, you know, a more trained writer, someone who was more of a fiction professional, probably would have done those things, because like you said, they would have been effective scenes. They would have made you cry. They would have really gotten to you emotionally. But I think what this movie does so smartly is that it's not about. It's almost like, to Tolkien, I think, probably from an experience being in war, right? It's like you get off lucky if you're the one who dies, you know, in all this. It's what happens after that really is the thing that you really can never escape, right? Which is Frodo's whole story, right? Is that he can't escape what happened to him. And the only reason he holds on at the end is for Sam. It's the only reason he does it. He doesn't do it because he wants to live. He does it because he knows if he does it, he's going to destroy Sam in that moment, you know? And it's like, you know, he won't do that, right? Which is even, you know, up to the end, when he leaves, he finally can't do it anymore. He can't stay for Sam anymore, right? And he also can't, like he says, kind of keep Sam in two worlds anymore either, which is stuck with this sort of like, you know, depressed, you know, PTSD feeling, you know, friend who he can't seem to pull out of and pull back into his old life, right?
We are going to get there, right? Because I forgot. It's been a while since I've seen this one. The last 3 or 4 minutes of this, because that's the other thing with these, right? Like, this movie is maybe the most memed. We talked about the other two, right? They've been memed to death. You know, people who haven't even seen these movies, like my wife, I've caught her sharing, like, you know, you do not simply memes on Instagram, and she refuses to watch any of these. And it's like, how dare you? You don't know. You've never traveled with the Fellowship. But like this one, there's so much in this one that we've seen, you know, jokes made about. And of course, the ending, you know, the multiple endings. And, you know, I tried to go into this as open-minded as possible. Like, I guess after a while, that stuff kind of becomes your impression of the movie. And seeing those last couple scenes this time, they always worked for me. And I always, you know, when people are like, oh, there's too many endings, this movie just ends for a half an hour. It's like, well, something this long and this expansive, like, I think it kind of earns the right to do that. And I've always believed that. Now, I think it would be so much less of the great thing that it is without that. And it just hit me so much harder this time. I think as an older person, because it has been probably a decade or so since I've seen this one all the way through. And actually experienced that ending after going through the entire trilogy all at once. And I think it's just gotten better over time. And the fact that, you know, I'm sure I joined in the just sort of giggling about, oh, they're all going to jump in bed together, you know, and then we got 20 more minutes to go. You know, my contrarianness was always like, oh, yeah, look at that. But now I feel like I'm here to defend it.
I had a thought during that scene for the first time ever today. I did the last half hour before we record. It was, guys, I was in my room alone. like Sam and Frodo are convalescing in 2 separate rooms, and everyone comes and visits Frodo. Like, I had to fucking get up. I had to get up out of my bed, where I just oh, I didn't lose a finger, whatever. And like, you guys are all here. Real nice. Real nice.
You know what I went through? I mean, we'll talk about those endings. That's the scene in particular you're talking about is like, I mean, I can understand why it gets me. It's one of the most insanely shot things in this big of a movie I've ever seen. You know, the way with all the white and Gandalf just like laughing and everything. I get it. You know, it's also a lot of very present in your face emotion, right? Like just very sweet, you know, just no reserve emotion, right? It's so, and I think people naturally just don't know how to react to that sometimes, right? Because there's nothing cynical about it at all. And it's tough sometimes for people to sit there and be like, I can accept this, you know, that it's just non-cynical.
But I'm actually talking about the scene after that because I forgot Sam.
Which scene with Sam? What are you talking about?
The final scene with Sam.
Oh, the final scene. We'll talk about that. We'll get there. Okay. Let's keep going through the movie. Let's go to the movie. So, the opening Smeagol scene, really great. Circus gets a chance to show his face for a couple of minutes, which is great for him as well, obviously. And I love that, like you said, it starts it on this tone, right? This very dark, foreboding tone. It also lets you know Smeagol was not like a chill, cool guy, right? Like there is something wrong with him.
Zero remorse.
Yeah, at his core.
Murder, obviously, the ring has power and it draws you, and that's he doesn't have the oh no, what have I done?
No,
it does not. It's just
yeah. Even Boromir had when he tried to take the ring, he was like, "Oh my God, what am I even doing?" You know. But like first time we see Frodo and Sam, like we are sadness town. You know, it's just like he's not sleeping. You know, Sam is on edge because of Gollum. You know, and it's something they go right from that to, you know, the sort of the Gandalf and the contingent from Helm's Deep going to Isengard, and most of this is not in the theatrical version, so Brian won't even know that these scenes exist. But when they go, there's a lot in the extended edition at Isengard, right? There's a lot. They talk to Saruman. Like
I really like the scene, but just to go back to something we were talking about the last time, there is one Ent who's like futilely trying to knock the tower over, and it's like just in the background of the shot, and we were talking about, like I can't believe like they just left him there, like just kind of stranded in the tower, and like it's because it's been weeks or something, right? Like in the time of the movie, and yet there's just like one tree man just like pushing with all his might, just trying to knock this thing over, and I love that little, you know, it's a blink and you miss a thing. It's not in the theatrical version, Brian, but there is an Ent still trying to knock over the tower.
Well, while you talk about a couple of things that are not in the theatrical, I'll be right back.
Okay. And so I like this stuff. In the past with this extended edition, I've been a little bit, again, when I say cooler, we are talking again in like the top echelon of what I like about movies. You know, it's just in comparison to the other ones. I've always felt that this extended edition gives a little bit less than the other ones do, because there's already so much in the movie, and there isn't a lot of little like nooks and crannies to really like excavate out anymore. Like a lot of these scenes they add back in are just, this was a good scene, we just cut it because like for a movie in the theater we need to cut it down. Like that's, you know, they don't always feel as necessary or as really as enlightening as I feel like the stuff that's in the other two.
We're kind of paying off stuff that doesn't necessarily need to be paid off. We get to see Brad Dourif one last time as Grim Wormtongue, which is nice because I love that guy and he's really good in these movies. But like, we got enough of him in the last one, I think.
Yeah, but I think there's important character stuff just for Theoden in this in that scene, which you don't get in the theatrical, which is this idea that like he's not like this cranky, angry old man. Like he wants Grima to come down. He wants him to come back into the fold. Like he wants to give him another chance, you know, and I like that about those scenes. I do like that we get a little bit more Christopher Lee, of course. Like it's always nice to see Christopher Lee. And I like this idea that like Saruman is real smart, but even he does not know which hobbit had the ring, if a hobbit still has the ring, if someone else has the ring. And I like that this kind of illuminates that a little bit more. It also gives you a little bit more of a place for where the Palantir, you know, came from, right? Where that Pippin picks up out of the like water. All I could think about watching this was like, these guys had to just stand in this water for so long because they're standing in real water. Yep. You know, like there's some tank they're standing in like knee-high like water for probably hours and hours and hours on end. You know, but so I like these scenes in there. I like them more this time than I had liked them any other times I've watched the extended edition. And it was nice. They're really there, though, for book fans is really why this scene is in there. It's a huge part, of the story, like the confrontation with Saruman, what happens to Saruman. And in the theatrical edition, they kind of just like, he's just in the tower and we'll just leave him there. Like, that's kind of what the theatrical version does with him, So there's that part of it, which I enjoy, the kind of expanding of that story. And I also like to see Merry and Pippin just having a grand old time smoking their pipe weed.
As I keep saying, they're the Harold and Kumar of this trilogy. And although in this movie, they really,
this is their movie.
More of them. And sure it is.
Yeah, for sure.
But I do, it's one of the genres, one of the many threads that this follows. Just a little stoner comedy with these two hobbits who are just kind of, they're the fun guys, they're not the center of the fellowship.
Yeah.
But they're just on the periphery, just kind of doing their thing, having some hijinks. I enjoy that.
Yeah. I love like their greeting to like the group when they're coming back and they're like typical hobbits. Like I like that sort of vibe. Whenever that vibe is in these movies, I really like that a lot.
They're both so good in this entire trilogy too.
They're great.
I mean, they get to really kind of show their range in this one, but they are, I had never, I'm sure I'd seen them before, but didn't know who they were. But it's Dominic Monaghan and
Billy Boyd.
Mm-hmm. They're fantastic in these and really bring something to these characters. Like, again, the lesser version of this movie. Do you need quite so much Merry and Pippin? Probably not. But I don't know. There's not a single scene with either one of them where it's like, oh, yeah, I could be done with them now. Like, I enjoy pretty much everything they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
think one of the things that, Jackson and Walsh and Boyens had really fought for was we want all of the characters still in it. Because, there was pressure on them to, condense characters down, right? Like, do you really need 4 hobbits?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you going to give time to 4 of these characters and make them mean anything? Which they have big parts to play in the actual.
They all have very fully realized stories. Yeah.
Yeah. And they have impactful things to do in the actual goings on of the story as well.
And it's so hard to do that. Like, we've seen so many Star Wars sequels where, the struggle is, we got to do something with Rey. We got to do something with Finn. And, they're never equal. They never feel, impactful.
What does Finn have to tell her? What does Finn have to tell her?
No.
Yeah. But, now that we've seen what a lesser version of this looks and feels like, the fact that every member of the Fellowship does, and even the sort of extraneous, Faramir is a major character in this who has a fully realized, could be a movie in and of itself story. That's incredible.
I will say this time watching them, I appreciated Wenham way more this time around than I have even any other times I've watched them.
Although I kept looking at him and thinking he was Domhnall Gleeson, which he totally
has a Domhnall Gleeson face, for sure.
Because he would have been 10 years old at the time. But
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, he's our age.
He looks just fucking like him.
Yeah, he does look a lot like him. Yeah. Sorry, Brian, what were we going to say?
No, just I kept trying to remember what Miranda Otto has done since while I was watching this.
She's great in this trilogy,
She's so good in this movie, too.
I know.
I was really struck, again, by so many of these performances that I think really work so well. We talked about Theoden, we talked about Bernard Hill last time a lot, but he is so good in this. And, this, 2-movie sort of arc of his character going from this kind of scared, I don't want to fight, I don't know what to do, I'm afraid of making a mistake, king, to what he is at the end is so good. And
the first time we see him, he's basically a possessed living corpse man. With, these glassy eyes and the white face and everything. And this one, he's a badass and really kind of comes into his own in a really wonderful way. Yeah, it's again, and just the fact that you're setting up, you've got the 3 movie arcs for most characters, and then you start to bring in some in the second film in the series that are paid off really beautifully here. Faramir being another one. It's just, from a writing standpoint, right? We've been kind of trying to focus on Peter Jackson as a director here, but this team that he put together for this, or that got together and wrote these movies. I mean, there's so many right choices that all sort of get paid off in this one. And it really is tribute to what they were all able to do with this, that they were able to take this story and really, there's not a single, there's very little in these movies, and there's so much in them, but there's very little where you're I'm not sure I completely understand that, or that feels kind of it just kind of fizzled out. Nothing fizzles out. Everything comes back in a way that makes sense, is organic to the story, but doesn't feel like it's just thrown in there like, oh, this is a character the audience likes a little bit, so let's just give him a funny scene here just for the hell of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
what extended
Nothing feels-
editions are for.
No, but even in the extended edition, I feel like it's not quite that.
I think the Fellowship Extended Edition is the perfect version of that movie. I think it is the ideal version of the Fellowship of the Ring.
Just the title drop alone, the perfect.
The title drop
positioning
alone is
of
great, but
that, yeah.
everything about it, like, it's just
Is the title card different in the extended?
It's different in all of them. All the extendeds are different than the theatricals, but that I think is the perfect version of that movie. In Two Towers and Return of the King, they both have a couple of scenes which are good, but are like repeated information scenes where Gandalf will be like, send Frodo to his death, and he'll have like two of those scenes, you know, or like, I understand why they cut this scene out, right? Those are the only scenes ever in any of the extended editions where I'm like, you probably could have not put this back in, but again, you're doing something for people who want to see as much of the movie as possible, so I don't really have a problem with it. But Brian, what did you want to say?
I was going to ask you, as an absolute super fan, do you
Yes.
ever watch the theatrical versions?
No. Why would I do such a thing?
So those like just basically don't exist for you anymore.
No, basically not. You know, let's say this, I probably will watch them the first time I show the movies to my
Des.
son. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, they're long as they are, obviously, and
It's
I
a lot
want
of
to
commitment,
get them
yeah,
through
just
it.
from the get-go.
Well,
sure.
and you have the promise of more.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you like
You can't ever go the other way around.
Yeah,
That's
if you
true,
like
yeah.
this, guess what? There are longer versions that we can watch.
For me, Aliens will always be the director's cut. Like, I want sentry guns, and I want to know Ellen Ripley and Dwayne Hicks's first names.
I hate the director's cut of Aliens, and it's one of my favorite movies, the theatrical, but that's another story for another day.
Oh, sorry, Nick, you're not coming into. Oh no, what is that? Is that a tunnel? How are you in a tunnel? How is it 1994?
You're going to nuke me from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
We can all agree that the director's cut of Alien is weird because it's shorter than the theatrical version.
I don't know if I knew there was a director's cut of Alien.
Yeah, Ridley Scott did like a director's cut, and he like kind of changed the edit. That's all he really
After
did.
the
He didn't.
4 versions of Blade Runner, I just don't trust anything.
Yeah, 4 is being conservative with Blade Runner, but yeah. So I mean, basically now we get kind of inciting incident stuff, right? Which is Pippin grabs the Palantir, right, and basically gets like put into like a, I don't know, magic coma by Sauron. It has to leave with Gandalf to go to Minas Tirith. So we have to separate Merry and Pippin for the first time in the entire trilogy. So that's a big thing that happens here. We also get set up right that Theoden is not necessarily going to go help Gondor, right? Like that's a big kind of fight between him and Aragorn in this parts. In the extended edition, we get some fun stuff, which is like we get a drinking competition, and we get hobbits dancing and singing. You know, the stuff that's not in the theatrical, obviously, but I love all that stuff. But we get a fun scene where Gandalf is sleeping with his eyes open. Like all that stuff is, you know, just fun. But it basically sets us on our course, right, to where the movie is going to go, which is we're going to go to Minas Tirith, right, the capital city of Gondor. I want to talk about the design of this place, the music associated with it, all of that stuff. I guess, Brian, kicking off with you. I mean, this is our big new location, right? We've seen it one other time in Fellowship, but not really. Like, how do you feel about this whole thing? The set design, the look of it, what happens there, you know?
I mean, if you do a top down, you know, I mean, we see the map of Middle Earth many times in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Even more if you're a friend of Bobby who had it hang on his wall.
I did.
You know, so many of these places. Okay, so you have your Shire with your green. You have your Mordor with the death and the fire and the who. But like, you can only do so many different things, and it's crazy to me how they all feel like unique places with unique people. Again, we don't really talk to any, like, are they Gondorians?
But yeah, the men of Gondor. I don't know. The Gondorians, I guess. You know, the people of Gondor. They never really say that, but yeah,
Gondos,
right?
Or
Gondos.
Is that like, yeah.
Oh no,
Nick's gonna get canceled.
Little do we know, there's a whole
Yeah, I used
My
the hard
God.
G on
No.
Gondo. Yeah, you're right.
Don't let
It's
me get
weird.
into Denethor's old tweets, okay?
It's weird how the like that gray black of the what would you call that, like the facade of the I mean it's like a mountainside that's been carved into a city, feels like.
Yeah, basically, yeah,
Kind
yeah.
of.
Minas Tirith, yeah, it's amazing looking, yeah.
But like it just fits with Denethor's like personality. Like he kind of looks like it.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. The Great
Like,
John Noble.
If you were
He's so
the
good
Great
as-
John
yeah.
Noble. If you were to swap, Theoden and Denethor, like that doesn't work. Those are different things. Like Bernard Hill looks like Rohan.
Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true. They did a good job with that.
And it's just weird how that stuff works. So yeah, I mean, it's introduced, and I feel like I've been here, even though I mean, yeah, we've seen it a little bit, but I mean, I don't know if that's a testament to like Boromir talking about it.
Yeah.
And kind of setting us up.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
he does have that speech in the first movie where he talks to where he describes it to Aragorn, and it does live up to that description for sure.
But it doesn't look like it's the city of kings, right? Like it is where the ruler of this land lives. And like we've seen, again, going back to Game of Thrones, not because I want to, but like King's Landing, like that looks like that, right? It's on the water. It's this really, it kind of works really nicely for that world. This one I think is so organic to Middle Earth, right? Like it is, as you said, it's like a city built into a mountain essentially, or a mountain carved into a city, or a city carved out of a mountain or something like that. And it is an impressive set piece, but like,
did you just say three different things or the same thing 3 times?
I said the same. Well, yeah, I think it's variations on the theme. I think it's not as like impressive to them. You know what I mean? Like it's like, is it the most beautiful? The most?
It's their home. It's normal.
You think this thing doesn't look as good as King's Landing?
I think it's like the design of it it's incredible, but it's not like the impressiveness, like when we get to this, when he is actually crowned king, the coronation, like I feel like I've seen more just sort of pictorially impressive looking, more like gigantic, like places where a scene like that would happen. Whereas this feels more, because it is a mountainous world and we see characters traversing mountains throughout this entire trilogy, I think this actually works for that. It's a little more, I want to call it like working class or something. It doesn't have the like ostentatiousness of like,
those
like
gondos.
Those gondos, yeah,
those
they're just regular folks.
I just love the fact that it's this like, I don't know, skyscraper sized city, like tower that's made completely of like white marble. And you're like, looks a little working class for
in
my
this
taste.
world, yeah, not that impressive.
But
actually.
compare it to
It's
Edoras,
Cloud
though.
City on land.
Yeah, compare it to Edoras, though.
Well, Cloud, I couldn't think of the name of Bespin, I think it's called. Because I was going to compare it to that. Like, that's like shockingly amazing, a city built in the clouds. This is, built into the side of a mountain. Like it's.
I mean, look at the difference though, between this and like the capital of Rohan, right? Which is like
that's true. Well,
a village on a hill, a little hill, a little like, whatever. And this is like this carved out of, white stone. Giant tire. Like when Denethor is sitting on top of it and he looks down and he sees like he can see the whole field with all the armies. Like that's the stuff to me that really gets me.
Well, that's
like,
incredible. And his
incredible
death
looking.
Scene, the plunge that he takes later on is But
Gandalf, cold as
before,
ice, man.
What a great shot that is.
I did the Groundhog Day joke. I took Jill when we were watching it. I was like, he can still be alive.
Just an all-timer transition too.
Yeah.
All-timer transition.
Oh, yeah.
He uses it to get back into the battle scene. Like it's just falling, burning body falling off this like the Empire State Building,
and
basically.
We hate the guy by now, so it's like, I'm good with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really do feel the heavenly creatures like this. So feels like not that we see a lot of Barovnia, but when we actually go into the castle, keep whatever. You got the clay people there. It's this, it's the low budget version of this. And then it's like, what's it, 10 years later at this point, he gets to kind of show us the full scale, Minas Tirith is that city just kind of wrought large, I feel like.
Yeah. When I was talking about the Smeagol scene, I meant more in tone of heavenly creatures, not as much visual language. But yeah, I agree with you. And I think we talked about that even when we were talking about heavenly creatures, about how like it felt like Lord of the Rings when they go inside that like sand castle
Yeah.
And he's like, he's going to the sandcastle. I will say, seems inconvenient to have to go up all of those rings every time to get to the top. Like how, like Gandalf does it like, I don't know, 10 times?
He gets in his cardio in this movie.
And he's magic.
His horse gets into his cardio for sure. The Lord of all horses, Shadowfax. But yeah, John Noble. Let's talk about John Noble, who I think is fantastic in this movie. Obviously, he pops up in the Two Towers extended edition, but if you're not watching the extended editions, this is the first time he really gets to do anything. It's the first time you see him really in the movies, is in this one. And, you know, in the books, he's a character you hate, you know, just like the same way you hate him in this. They did a great job of that. The funny thing about him in the books is that he also has a Palantir like Saruman has. And he basically has been doom scrolling Mordor. Basically is what he's been doing. And basically has convinced himself that like everything is lost and there's nothing you can do about it, basically. Obviously that's not part of this, even though it's kind of hinted a little bit and it's kind of implied that like he has gotten to a point where he's seen so much that he just can't see any hope, you know, anywhere.
What a shitty dad, too.
Oh my God, a terrible dad. Faramir's so nice.
Yeah.
Just a nice boy. I love that scene where, like, you know, he sees Gandalf and then he sees Pippin, and just by the expression on his face, they're like, this isn't the first Hobbit you've seen. You know, I love that. Although it gives him a little bit of hope in that moment. But yeah, no, I think Denethor is great. Obviously, there is the iconic Denethor eating food totally normally while Billy Boyd sings like a goddamn angel next to him. That scene is so good. I mean, that scene is just so haunting. And again, one of those things we talk about, Nick, right, through all of his movies where you're like, not a scene you expect to get in the kind of movie that we are watching, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially not
Agreed.
in the capper of a trilogy of these giant movies. We get this Hobbit just singing this beautiful song, you know, and kind of, you know, showing us the juxtaposition between that and like the terrible stuff that's happening outside of.
And I think it's really easy to forget because when this movie goes big, it goes as big as a movie can possibly get, right? And like, you know, you think back to Return of the King, it's like, oh, that's like the most epic medieval war movie ever made, right? And then we get the stunning conclusion to Frodo's quest, this quest narrative that we've been following the whole time. But there's so many moments like that, and this like just kind of interspersed throughout these like character scenes where it's not really pushing things forward in any other way, but like just kind of deepening our understanding of these characters in this world and the stakes. And I think that's why it works so well when we are, you know, we've got tens of thousands of people on screen later on.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything do you have to say about John Noble's performance, Brian? Anything you want to add?
I mean, you said. I think you said it right. I mean, he's makes you hate him with every fiber of your being. Makes you want to call your dad. And be like, thanks, Dad. I mean, I know we have our challenges, but you're great.
You didn't say, I wish you had been dead to me all the time.
Nope.
And it's easy enough to think, especially if you've seen the extended edition of Two Towers, like Theoden gets kind of this arc as we were talking about. So like maybe Denethor could too, right? Like maybe he's going to come to his senses at some point. And like the movie kind of keeps dangling that carrot in front of you and then just yanking it away. And then finally, you know, we get the death scene that we're talking about. So
he has an in-service Hobbit in residence.
Yeah.
NBC's Hobbit in residence.
Yeah. Bring wood and oil. See, a quote I love. But I just love that, like we were talking about before, like that Gandalf just watches him run off and goes, there passes Denethor, son of Icthalion. And then just watches him run off the side of the building, engulfed in flames.
Right before that, you've got, you know, Pippin, like who, you know, their whole dynamic is either shut up, Hobbit, or I'm gonna give you some knowledge and we're gonna have a moment. And it's one of those two things. And you know, it's like there's no place for a Hobbit. Oh, nice job there, but seriously, get the fuck out of here. And then he's gonna burn Faramir alive. All right, I get. There's this war going on. I guess I'll pause the war to go help you with this Faramir thing.
Yeah, but he turns around real quick. He goes real quick. He doesn't need any convincing. But you know, there's that, like you said, there's that great scene where they're kind of sitting on that balcony, looking out at Mordor. And it's very much like, Pippin has spent most of the trilogy kind of only letting himself like really half understand the severity of the situation that he is in. And he can't do that anymore, right? He has to face it full on. So he's got all these questions.
He's the one who understands it the least of everybody.
Yeah, and he's got all these concerns. And the very fact that like you have Gandalf who is soothing him in some ways, but also you see like real fear, in Gandalf's, eyes, including explaining, about, the Witch King and everything as well. And he has that, Pippin has that quote where he says, well, we have the White Wizard that has to count for something, and he says it in that very like, hobbitish way, which is meant to be like, this is going to make you feel better. And Gandalf's kind of like,
and everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, no, not really. And I like that a lot. And then I think we get we go back to Frodo and Sam, and we get one of the, I think, obviously one of the most like emotionally difficult scenes in the movie where, Frodo sends Sam away, basically, which is really hard it's really hard for me to watch that scene. It's like one of the hardest scenes for me to watch.
The whole thing with, we see Gollum make his choice that he makes to, go the direction he's going to go in and kind of just basically sell out Frodo and he's going to just take possession of the ring. And that whole, we kind of see each step of the process, the plot to like get the, throw away the food, put the crumbs on Sam, to frame him essentially. It's pretty simple plan that he has, but, it works perfectly, does exactly what he wants it to do. And, the dramatic irony there, like where we see what has happened, but you can imagine Frodo being like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
You're supposed to be like helping me out here. And we're now in this situation where you look like the treacherous one. And,
right.
Yeah. It's really heartbreaking. Also, as with many other things in this trilogy, right? The setting is such a important part of this scene. They're just like perched on this like very precarious ledge on this like craggy, horrible looking mountain. They're in hell, It's Dante's, one of Dante's circles of hell. And like literally, how do you even sleep on a ledge that small? Why would you sleep on a ledge that small?
I don't know.
First of all, Nick, you gotta watch yourself, because craggy is a mountain slur.
And I use the hard G there too. But we're gonna get demonetized.
Crazy, we were just talking about this. That Gollum's that great scene. I mean, it's so much computer stuff, but still the way it's shot. Of the will he won't he. In inner turmoil. There is more chance of a redemption arc for Gollum than there is for Denethor.
Yeah,
true. Absolutely, there is. There absolutely is. And we didn't even talk about the you talk about the internal turmoil, the reflecting pool scene, right, where he's talking to himself in the water, which is again we talked about that.
Catches him.
Yeah, we talked about the scene, in Two Towers, right, which is that first scene where he's talking back and forth, to himself, which is great. I mean, even with the time in between Two Towers and Return of the King, they've obviously leveled up like their pipeline and the way and their rendering and everything, because when he's doing the reflecting pool scene, it looks even better.
Yeah.
Than those scenes in the early stuff, which is really crazy.
Well, Wedded Workshop just keeps getting bigger and bigger as this thing,
exactly.
The production of this kind of wears on, or the post-production of this wears on, and they're just hiring more people.
They're just growing and growing and growing.
They need them.
And I will say the scene
bored at Wedded Workshop.
No, definitely not. The scene, you mentioned the setting, which is absolutely true. And also this setting has my favorite visual in the entire trilogy, which is when Minas Morgul's like the spire erupts and that green light shoots out of the top of it, and then like the Witch King comes out on the flying mount, and all the the troops are walking, and I love that also that connects that to what's going on with Gandalf and Pippin.
Thank you for mentioning that, because I love this moment, and I forgot that this moment happened. So these two stories that have been separated for so long, right? Like when we get this shot, and again, it's the way this is all designed. We get a very, very, very wide shot that shows us both locations, ties these things together visually in a way that like we've been having to do in our head for like 2.5 movies now, and now we get it, right? Now we see like where they are in relation, and that kind of plays out through the rest of this too, is they can kind of not exactly track Frodo and Sam's progress, through Mordor to Mount Doom, but like we kind of get a sense that they're all in this together. We know that, right? I mean, that's what this Middle Earth is, the setting of this movie. But like we finally get to see these two, like this linkage of these two places and these two conflicts where if either one of them goes poorly, the world ends basically. And through most of this movie, it feels like the world is going to end. So yeah, I think I forgot about this moment. It's such an important moment because of that, visual connection that we finally get.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really does something too, which the books don't really do because of how the narrative is structured, where it really, really shows you exactly where one is when the other thing is happening. Because the books are split in the way they are, it doesn't do that. I think it's a really clever thing they do. And, the next thing that happens, obviously, is Denethor sends Faramir basically to his death, essentially, to try to take back Osgiliath, even though it's pointless. And we have the haunting singing scene. And I just love that we get a shot of Gandalf just sitting like in that courtyard, just staring, right? Just look like he can't do anything. Like there's nothing he can do. There are situations where even this like powerful wizard is powerless, right? And this is one of those things. He just has to sit there and wait like everyone else. There's nothing he can do. And I really like that as we keep talking about how every time they go big, every time he goes big, he brings it back down, right? To a person or a character that we've seen.
Yeah, a little small, quiet, reflective scene like that.
Yeah. Or even just like a character scene, right? Where it's like a one-on-one situation, whether it's a fight or a quiet scene. We're never sticking with just like, here are hundreds of thousands of troops for too long, right? We're always pulled back down into the humanity of the situation. I mean, there's stuff, obviously, I'll bring a whole points, anything we want to talk about, while we're going through this. They reforged the sword, obviously, Isildur's sword. We get great poem reading by Liv Tyler. I like that. I like that stuff. Again, I feel like we talked about this in Two Towers. The biggest task they have is to try to keep her as part of these movies when she is stuck in one place for all of the movies. And I think they do an admirable job. It's obviously the part of the movie I think that, well, I appreciate her performance a lot more now. Like we talked about that. I still feel like it's like they can't spend time explaining to you exactly what's happening to her. So they're just like, she's sick. Like, and if you lose, she dies. And it's like, okay, so that's all I really need to take away from these scenes, right?
We need you to go to space and drill.
Yeah, exactly.
And she'll be okay. And she'll be okay.
I will say though, like the way they pepper her throughout this, like thinking back on this trilogy, like what is her total screen time in this 11 and a half hours of movies? Like
I will tell you right now.
Brian will find it.
Okay.
Though what I don't like about the screen time clockers is they usually just count exactly how much time her face is on screen, not like how long a scene is that she's in. You know what I mean? So it's like, I still want the coverage shot of Viggo Mortensen to be counted as her screen time because she's in the scene,
Yeah, but what I was going to say, I mean, whatever the number is.
Less than an hour, for sure.
Very small, right?
Yeah.
But like, I remember her being such an integral part of this trilogy.
Yeah, she is. For sure.
But we don't see that much of her.
All right. Here, I'm gonna read the entire list that Screen Rant did for us.
Okay.
Frodo, 120 minutes. Sam, 76. Aragorn, 73. Gandalf, 70. Pippin, 48. Merry, 40. Gollum, 35. Gimli, 30. Legolas, 30. Theoden, 23. Boromir, 20. Éowyn, 18. Arwen, 13. Bilbo, 13.
Close.
Elrond, 12.
So again, this is definitely counting when their face is
on screen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because like obviously Bilbo's in it for more than 15 minutes because he's in that whole opening. He's just not always on screen.
Yeah, that opening is 7 hours long. Yes, it's 7 hours.
About how long? It's like 45 minutes, or whatever it is. Like, that's why I always rub up against these things. That's where like they're like, Anthony Hopkins is only in Silence of the Lambs for 18 minutes. I'm like, no, he's not. Like when the shot is on Jodie Foster, he's still in the movie.
Yeah, well, sometimes you can see his reflection in the glass.
Yeah, but I just think, but you know what I mean. But she's in it. She's probably in 30 minutes of scenes. Probably, let's say. Let's just say I'll double it on that thing.
But even that, right? I mean, thinking back, like if I
Mhm.
think of this trilogy just as this amorphous blob of movies,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, she's in that a lot. An hour plus of screen time for that character who is so
Mhm.
important. And like, we feel like we know her so well. And, you know, the way she looks, the way she moves, the way she talks, the interactions with Aragorn. And like, there's so little of it. And yet
Mhm.
they must all really resonate because we just kind of imagine there's a lot more than there was.
Yeah.
And that's true of all of them, right? 30 minutes for two of our major fellowship participants.
To be fair,
Again,
Bobby's never seen that scene in Two Towers other than the first time because he's peed every other time. Even though he could pause it.
The fake death flashback scene
Yeah.
or whatever. Yes. Get out of here
I like
with
that
scene.
scene.
The scene is fine. We talked about this last time about how I feel
Yeah.
about the fake out Aragorn death thing.
Yeah.
So basically we get a couple of things now, right? We get the sword gets back to Aragorn. Oh, we didn't talk about
so
this.
Cool. It is
very
so
cool.
cool.
Before we get to that though, because we missed this, the beacon's being lit.
I love that.
I love the
Love that,
beacon
love that,
being
love
lit
that.
scene. I love the whole mechanics of it with you know Pippin climbing up and doing his thing and get a little moment of levity, but the actual visual of all the beacons getting lit across those mountains, I just love it. And I
Absolutely
love
iconic in this movie. There's one shot. I mean, I knew it was coming, but it's the farthest away, right? We are looking from the farthest possible distance. There's a mountain range way in the background of the shot, and the light is so small, right? Like it's a few pixels if we're watching this digitally, which we are. And when that thing just like that very small little point of light back there, like a star or something, it's amazing, right? And just as a visual thing, right? To make you kind of anticipate that little piece of light in that frame. Really, really cool directorial thing that he does here.
Yeah, absolutely. And the music is just
absolutely stirring,
on fire in that moment. It's so good. Very stirring. And we get the great, you know, Aragorn running across all of Edoras and popping in and, you know, Theoden giving his and Rohan will answer thing. And we're off to the races with that. But again, the sword looks really cool. It's a great sword, a movie full of great swords. It looks awesome. And then I want to ask you guys, as non-book people, how we feel about the Army of the Dead stuff.
It's cheating. It's definitely cheating. And you could have maybe held on to them a little bit longer. They would have come in handy. Are you talking about how it looks visually? Are you talking about all of it?
No. I'm just talking about like the concept of it
the
and how
integration
it's, how it's deployed.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you this, even in the books, you're like, where was this the whole time?
Yeah, it's a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, but I mean, you had to have the sword and all this kind of stuff. He had to accept his mantle as part of that whole deal. I think like Jackson does a pretty good job of making it feel like a task they have to complete as well, going into that mountain and everything like that.
And I really do. I mean, that is Peter Jackson is a horror guy and loves, the Universal monster movies and stuff like that. And, the scene where the skulls are kind of raining down and all, it's just like, this is the most goth metal movie I think I've ever seen. Like for something that we look back on, it's like, oh, here's hobbits frolicking in bed together. Like this movie is fucking badass in so many scenes. You've got these flying creatures getting their heads lopped off and the Witch King and all that stuff and the
pushes
Black
the
Gate,
boundaries of a PG-13 for sure.
Sure it does. Yeah, it's a hard PG-13 and there's so many frames in this movie that would be an amazing cover for a metal album and it's like there's so much in this movie that you almost forget that a little bit and this whole sequence is just kind of that. It's like from it's like something out of Glenn Danzig's Wet Dreams or something.
It's an avalanche of skulls coming out of the mountain, and they're like kind of running through it. But it's really just the dead guys being dramatic because after they do it, they're like, we're in, we got it.
They're very easily convinced for a bunch of guys who've been
they kind of have to do it. I think that's
hanging out there for thousands of years. Yeah.
Yeah. They have to listen to him. They actually have to.
But we're going to look real scary first.
Yeah,
Check
exactly.
out what we can do.
I think, if I had my ideal, I think if they had just introduced the concept of this group in the movies earlier, I think it would have just made it feel a little bit.
Well, just the idea, the metaphysical idea that there is, you can have ghosts in this world, right?
And we've seen ghosts before, right? We've seen them in the Dead Marshes. We've seen versions of them,
but not ghosts that are like this proactive, I guess, that can
no.
literally jump out of a ship and then just kill a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
And I love, just the image with the ships coming down the river, the Corsairs, and then the reveal when it's actually them, it's Aragorn and his buddies on the ship. It all, I think by that point, we're just so invested that, I at that point am not thinking about, those guys kind of came out of nowhere.
Well, and I also think it fits into two motifs, right? Which one is this idea we talked about with Gandalf saying there are other forces, right, than the forces of evil. We don't question where, Sauron gets like 40,000 troops, right? So I think that's part of it here, but also I think it's because everything that's happening in the world of men is really, it's not the ball game, right? The ball game is happening with two little creatures walking through a hellscape, right? Because even if they win all these battles, if Frodo doesn't do what he's going to do, it doesn't matter anyway.
Killing people, and the central thing in the story is actually just this small thing, which is the ring. Yeah. Also, I mean, the other motif it kind of pays off is just the idea of ancestry and lineage, and we saw thousands of years of history of this world, right at the beginning of the first movie. So I mean, we can't just leave that all behind, right? Like everyone's always talking about their father and everything, their ancestors, the burial of the ancestors and things. So, it does, I think, fit into the story nicely that way also.
It does.
I remember I was trying to learn about, understand the it was probably during the time of fellowship. And I think I was talking to Bobby, and I think one of my questions that I kept asking, which was just so dumb the way I was asking it, was why hasn't this happened before? Like everything that's going on, these forces have everything's kind of always been there, and I mean the dormancy of it in Bilbo, and I mean, of course, there's good reasons why, but it just feels well, couldn't this have happened at any time? What
a weird thing that's about a story. It's not a history book.
It's not a bad question, though, right? I mean, if you could forge that
Bobby
one
has
ring,
a great way of making you feel like the dumbest boy in school.
Literally every time we do this show. Yeah.
My favorite thing I always used to get on Brian was not anything about that. I mean, those questions are fine. Those questions are fun to talk about, really. Those kind of lore, historical, lore questions. But in the Two Towers, there's the scene where Aragorn is let's ride out to meet them. You know what I mean? It's when they do that last charge before Gandalf shows up. And then Gimli goes to blow the horn. He blows the horn, and next we cut inside and they're on horses. And Brian's how'd they get on the horses? That's what Brian says to me. He goes, I want to see the scene where they get on the horses.
That wasn't me.
That was 100% you. All
right. That was someone else, and I took it, I adopted it.
Okay, well, to me it was you.
I think it was an Ian thing or a Claudio thing, or it was one of our friends who brought this up, and I was like, oh, good point. Let me be the bastion of. I'll be this question's champion. I will bring it to the source. I will go to Lord of the Rings knower himself, Bobby Shortle, be like, why? Where'd the horses come from, smarty pants? And he'll make me feel like a grade A dum-dum.
Yeah, I mean, maybe all the horses they rode there, they're horse people, they raise horses, they're famously the horse
and the
group.
Best, and I again, a person that nobody listens to this knows, but the best line ever was during the Two Towers. A friend of ours, Colleen, earnestly asked during Aragorn barking orders at the Battle of Helm's Deep and Howard Shore's non-diegetic score happening. She goes, how can they hear him over the music?
It's a great one.
The earnestness of teenagers. Yeah.
This was when this reminds me of I had somebody I worked with and she had a friend who I also worked with. I worked at a restaurant, and we were the hosts or whatever, seeing people. And he came in one day, and her friend was like, I got to tell you this story. They're like, what? She goes, we were in class the other day, and she raised her hand, and she asked, why is Alaska so cold and Hawaii so hot if they're right next to each other on the map? So...
No, I gotta write that down. God,
which I heard that story 25 years ago and have never forgotten it a single day in my life. So anyway,
I could see that being a deleted scene in Clueless.
Yeah, absolutely. After this, we're basically halfway through the movie at this point, right? Frodo has sent Sam away. The Faramir is basically dead, right? He's been brought back. Aragorn's gone to find the army of the dead. The Rohirrim is marching on, trying to get to Minas Tirith in time to be of some use in the battle. I love this one scene though with a Merry, where basically they're telling him he can't fight, and he says like, I just want to.
There's no horse for him, right? Isn't that
there's no horse for him. Yeah. And he goes like, I just want to help my friends, and like, it like got me so hard this time, and I don't know why, but it was just this idea of like, all he cares about is like, he just wants to be of some use. He wants to do some good, and I guess it's because of the world we live in. I'm like, this is like really hitting me right now.
Well, I love the whole where Éowyn kind of picks him up on the horse, and she's so much bigger than him. She's like hugging him the whole time, and it's a little. He's his manliness, right? Like his manliest moment in his life. I'm going to ride into this battle, but I've got this lady who's way stronger and way cooler than me, just kind of holding me, embracing me the whole time.
But one of the things I love about Tolkien, right, is that he does not subscribe to, I think, what you would call like generally accepted forms of toughness, right? That's not what he really is about, right? He is someone who's actually seen what it's really like to get into a battle where your life is on the line and your friends are dying. And I think he knows that brand of toughness that people accept as tough goes away in a moment, right? And so he's much more invested in like, no pun intended, fellowship and friendship and, trying to do your best with what you have, right? And not, and not looking at something and going, I already know what your use is just by looking at you, or because of how you were born or where you were born, and I think obviously he's writing these books in the 50s or whatever, and I think he's very ahead of his time in a lot of ways with some of this stuff, Éowyn
is a wonderful character too.
Yes.
And I love the stuff that she does in this movie. I love that moment, the way she is in the battle scenes where she's just like, it's not like she's not one of those like trademark, capital S, capital F, strong female characters.
No.
But she is stronger than all of those, she's like more of a badass than any of those like sort of girl boss, that like, let's make sure we make her, the old Mary Sue sort of idea. I don't feel like she is that, like it feels organic here. It feels like, this character has been through a lot. That's why she is the way she is. The romance that's you think might happen between her and Aragorn doesn't happen, but like she keeps going on and like that's not that important here. And she is like so dedicated to the cause. I really like everything she does. And I really like the performance also because it's like not bashing you over the head with the idea that she's a woman, right? Like you kind of forget it after a while. She's just one of the participants in this thing that like everybody, it's all hands on deck, whoever you are.
I mean,
or woman or whatever.
My favorite scene is when Éowyn, Arwen, Galadriel, and Rosie Cotton they're all on the battlefield together, and they have the opportunity to kick some butt, girl power.
Yeah, she's like, oh, how are you going to do this alone? And then Rosie Cotton's like, don't worry, she'll have help. She comes dancing in. It's a little end game. Turns there. I will say this. I just want to say this, and I know, Nick, this is not what you were saying, so don't take this as me going after you on that. Mary Sue is a fake trope made up by misogynists to go to tear down female characters that have any sort of...
I know that.
Nick, what did I just say? I said this is not about you. I'm talking to people who might be listening, who hear that and go like, I just want to say that. It's just I just think like,
are you defending me a little bit in some small way?
I was doing neither defending or persecuting you.
Well, fuck you. You should have defended me.
I don't know who am I defending you against, myself. Brian's gone. Brian left. He's like, I can't take this conversation anymore. Where did he go? What happened?
What a gondo he is.
Yeah, what a gondo. So anyway, we got to keep going, but I'm sure he'll be back. Sure. I'm sure he'll be back. So
11:12 p.m. He's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, no.
My heart out at 11:12.
Well, yeah. I'm not even going to tell you what's happening.
Oh, there is.
Did you not like the Mary Sue conversation, Brian?
I was trying to pull something up and I hit the wrong button on a thing. And
you hit the leave button?
We hate to leave, but when they give you leave, you gotta leave.
Okay. So, and Now, from this point on, oh, Brian, shoot, you don't have your, it doesn't matter. We're good. We're fine. We're fine. So with this point on, like, we're about halfway through the movie, like I said, and we are just like going to go nonstop from now on. Like, it is just like, we start the battle, the siege of Minas Tirith starts, and we're going to be in that for a little bit. You know, we're going to be there probably like 30-ish minutes. I think we go straight just with Minas Tirith stuff. And the thing that's so great about Jackson is you are just never in one thing for that long.
Yes.
He's just like, okay, we're going to start out with this thing with the catapults where they're catapulting dead bodies into the place. And then we'll catapult back with pieces of the city, you know, which I think is great. And then like but we're not going to be on that very long because we're going to go to something else, you know. Now it's like, okay, now the flying ring wraiths are here. Okay, now we're going to do that, you know, and now we're going to go.
Then we're in a Fury Road with the Oliphants.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're going to hear, you know, all of this stuff, you know. We get
There's no
crazy
Doof Warrior
battle stuff.
though. There's no Doof Warrior.
There's no Doof Warrior.
There should be. That's the one thing this movie is missing.
Mm-hmm.
But Gandalf does just smack Denethor in the face with his staff.
Yeah, you feel that hit too. That staff. I feel like of all the weapons in this, the hit from that staff is the one that
I
like
love
you
the
feel
way
more
he
than
just
anything.
takes the spear from the guard.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're useless. All right, I got this.
Yeah. It's very much when he hits Denethor in the face, it very much feels like in 2025's The Final Reckoning when Tom Cruise is beating that guy's head in, going like, "You spend too much time on the internet." Like, that's what I feel like. It's like the same energy. But and I love that the battle is always like going back and forth, right? Where something good will happen for our guys and something bad will happen, and it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And we spend, and then, you know, we get that giant wolf battering ram, you know, going, you know, knocking down the gate. And I love that Jackson just can't help himself because he goes like, you know, Gandalf has that speech where he's like, you're men of Gondor. Whatever comes through that gate, you will stand your ground. And then as soon as the gate opens, he has some like ADR voice go, run!
Yes.
Just can't
Peter
help
Jackson
himself.
really loves a battering ram knocking a big armored door down. We see that a lot in this trilogy, and like, I'm there for it. I never mind it. It's only like, it's just one of those scenes that just kind of works. You know what I mean? It's very exciting. The suspense builds, you know, you get one hit and then another hit. And then finally a piece splinters off. You know, it's like the way that sort of builds and increases in intensity. You know, it's obvious, but I think it always works really, really well. Scaling walls, trebuchets, all of that stuff. I mean, like I said, it is the great medieval battle movie of all time. And we've seen many attempts to do this that are just, you know, like, I like Ridley Scott's Robin Hood. It has kind of one of these scenes in it. It's not 100th of what we get just here, just in this one scene in this movie.
And these orcs are horny for that battering ram too. It has a name.
Yes.
They're saying Gron, Gron, Gron over and over and over again. I love that.
Is there a more phallic symbol in movies than a battering ram?
Definitely not. We do get to see Gandalf doing some badass shit too when he saves Pippin, when he does like that spinning, like the kind of like spinning staff sword, you know, stuff.
The entire time with the attitude of, I don't have time for this. He's like, oh.
Yeah,
he's just pulled in so many directions. Like, I'm trying to work here, guys. Come on.
Yeah. And one of the things I love is that by the end of the battle, he looks worn out and tired and old. You know, and I love that that's a feature of this, right? Where it's like, no, this is what he would look like at the end of this. Like, he's been up for a day and he's been, you know, constantly, you know, fighting and running and all of this kind of stuff. And it's great because and I think it's such smart editing. We spend so much time in this battle that when right after, like, you know, you get a moment, it cuts back to Frodo and Frodo and Gollum. You're like, oh shit, yeah, this is still going on.
Yep.
You know,
Happens all the time.
And then
and also that helps us drag out, like, the Battle of Minas Tirith takes a really long time in the time of the film. So when we cut away from it, it kind of, you know, when we go back to it, like, the sun has gone down a little bit, you know, like we're spending hours away, and then we come back and like the battle is still raging just as intensely as it was when we left, and we can kind of just sense the passage of time there.
Yeah. And then we get the Shelob scene, which I
This
love.
turns into an amazing little monster movie.
No,
You're
thank you.
You're not
Best
a
supporting
spider, right?
No, but it's still gross.
It is gross. And it still looks great.
It does, yeah.
The way it moves is incredibly spider-like. And yes, no thank you on that for sure.
Yeah, I hate spiders too, but this is a little trial run for King Kong here.
Yeah,
we get a little
is.
sequence that is, we're basically on Skull Island for a while, and we get a giant creature menacing. Boy, I like this scene a lot.
It's good.
Like just as this little self-contained monster movie in the middle of this 4-hour medieval epic fantasy quest movie. It's great.
And it is a book. It is a book reader's favorite, right? This chapter in the book is like one of the favorites, right? Is the Shelob scene. So
It's in Two
Towers.
Right?
It's in Two Towers. Yeah. So obviously, everyone's very much looking forward to seeing this and how it's going to be put together. I love how creepy and shitty Gollum is in this scene. Where he's kind of like taunting him when he's stuck in the web, and I love
the build up to this is great too.
Yeah.
Right. Like when when Gandalf says the thing about other dark forces or whatever, and they kind of like build up what Shelob is, and we don't know that it's a spider, right? We just know that there's something that lives in out, something like more horrific than anything we've seen in this trilogy. And I remember sitting in the theater the first time, like, holy shit! Like, what do you got? What else do you have up your sleeve here?
I thought this is how Frodo dies. I mean, that's
sure, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, for what it is, I mean, it's not that impressive of a thing on the surface. It's a giant spider. Literally, it does spider stuff. It spins webs, and yet it is terrifying in this moment. And again, the setting, right? This cave, this dark, craggy, sorry to use that slur again, this craggy cave that he's in, just jagged edges and, shiny rocks everywhere. And then you get the webs, he gets trapped in the webs because of course he does. Like the build up to the scene and then the reveal. Like I kind of felt like whatever this is, it's not going to live up to the anticipation that I have for it, but it actually does. Peter Jackson's very good with the giant monster stuff, as we'll see in his next movie.
And you think things like, all right, just use the ring. Just use the ring. But there's always a reason why it's not going to work.
Yes.
Like, and I mean, I love that this is Gollum's. This should be his, crowning achievement. This is how I get it, right? Nope.
Yeah. Nope. Not at all. And I think, I love that. But it's not just a straight up monster chase scene, right? He paces and crafts the scene to be something that really like has an arc to it, right? Like the slow build up to the reveal. The reminder of this item that he has that's like sort of like a helper item that he has, the way he gets caught in the web, and then that little interlude with Gollum, right, where he's basically like, I have to destroy it, like, for both of us. And then we kind of pushing Gollum off the board, possibly, we think, in this moment, if you don't know what's going to happen at the end. And the tease of like, oh, he's gonna get out, he's about to get out, and then he doesn't. And again, the way it climbs out of the little hole and is like on like creeping above him is really disturbing. And then of course we get like the ultimate, like, I don't know, for me it's one of the ultimate movie like whoop moments when Sam comes back, right? And he has that sword, and he says, unhand him, you filth, you won't touch him again. And then he just fights this giant spider, and no like trickery, no like I'm gonna do something, just nope, you're hurting my friend, and it's
just sheer will and dedication. Yeah.
Which
his little sword. I mean, it's a cool sword, but it's small.
It's little.
He's a small guy, a small hobbit, and the scale of Shelob also, and just the way you can hear it in the sound design and everything else. Like it's the immensity of it is definitely there. It's impressive.
Yeah. And I also love that, like, we've seen, right, and we see this in all the Hobbits in this especially, is like, we've seen them go from being, they just live in this little palatial, beautiful place, to they've seen more in their little lives in the last year than most people will ever see.
And they throw themselves into it, like just readily, all of them in this movie. It's like, you know what, I'm probably going to die here, but I'm going to just give it my all anyway. And that's what gets them through.
I once went paddleboarding and we stopped at a little island with to grab lunch. And I didn't have my shoes. And I almost turned around because I couldn't deal with walking through a little bit of brush and a little bit of sticks to enjoy a lunch on an island that I was paddleboarding to and fro. And I look at these hobbits and their bare feet and I wince and I hurt. I hurt for them. I hurt for me.
And and I mean the Sam line, like the "don't go where I can't follow" thing, kills me every time. Every single time, it kills me. And also the realization that he's not dead, obviously, and all of this. And like I love that we leave off of that moment and then we're back into the battle. And this is when the burning happens. Denethor, runs off the side of the building. It transitions back into the battle, and we get the Rohirrim, showing up. And like Bernard Hill in this speech is so good. He's so good at giving this speech that it rivals to me the ending speech that Aragorn gives, to the troops at the end. And I just love the way they do the horses and the way they shoot this stuff is just unbelievable. Like this just mass of horses charging, in, and even this has like beats and things going on, right? You've got really importantly, you've got Éomer, who you've got Theoden, who you've got Éowyn and Merry, who and they all have their things to do. They're all their places that they're going and they're doing. And I love that, the fact that we get this rise of like, okay, they're going to win. Like they did this. And then that like, nope, now that we have the charge of the elephants that are coming, and I love that they get this moment of like just performance stuff, this great moment of like, oh my God, what are we going to do? What hell is this? And then it's quickly into like, nope, let's go. We're going to do this now. And I love that so much.
Yeah, then we get the Empire Strikes Back Fury Road moment. This is one of my favorite action scenes in the entire trilogy, where the Oliphants show up and they're shooting the guys off the platform. And like Legolas is awesome in this scene. I like for 30 minutes in this trilogy, they're like about 29 of them are just super badass like this, where he's
one of
just
them
like
is delivering the world's worst line delivery, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. But I do really like him here. The moment where he shoots a bunch of arrows into one of the legs of the Oliphants and then starts climbing up the arrows like very, what's it, Shadow of the Colossus, I think the game is called.
For sure. Yep.
We're doing stuff like that, which came out before this, I believe. Right? Maybe.
No.
Maybe same time. But what a cool little moment. Yeah, like all of these, like it would be enough, just the scene you were talking about, right? The horses charging in. One shot of that and it's like, that's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. But then that is just kind of like our entry point into this action scene where there's stuff happening in all these different places. We always have a great sense of it. I mean, he's been doing this since Dead Alive, right? Where we've got these, the choreography of these scenes is very, very close. Like the thing that happened after this to action movies is that like they're just edited to death, and we've kind of lost that sense in a lot of these films of like where everyone is in a given moment. So you never have the perspective of, who's shooting at who's fighting who, where are they in this location? And like, this is bigger than any of those scenes. There's more participants in these battles. And yet every time we cut to a new thing, we're able to just sort of understand the geography, the stakes, who is where, who is winning, who is like immediately under threat. Like it's so hard to do that in a scene that's like a quarter of the 10th of the size of this. And yet we never get that here. Like, that's why I think this is such a great battle scene. It's not just the imagery, the charging horses and the Oliphants coming in and all that stuff. It's all that and all of that just kind of working together in it's the clarity of it that I think makes it so incredible. And I think we lose that, not to get too far ahead of ourselves. There's big battle scenes in the Hobbit trilogy also that are, the battle of the five armies.
We'll get to it. Let's not spend any time. I don't want to talk about that any more than we have to, Nick. Okay?
We'll be referencing this, I think, because again,
yes,
I feel like those movies are just like, how can we do that again? And I guess you really can't go home again.
I'm going to spend 20 seconds on it. Just I don't know who knows what about this. I think An Unexpected Journey is a boring, not good movie. I think The Desolation of Smaug is a really fun, good movie, and I have not seen the Battle of Five Armies.
It's fine. The Battle of Armies is bad. It's very, very bad.
It's the shittier version of this scene.
Okay.
Than about the
But
same
it's a whole
amount of
movie. It's the whole movie. It's like if this was the whole movie, but worse. Like, that's what it is. Okay, we'll talk about it.
I like the first two Hobbit movies, but we'll get
the first Hobbit movies as well. We'll talk about it. We're going to spend hours talking about them.
Okay.
Obviously. So we should talk about, we got two huge things going on, which is we need to talk about. I know one of which is a favorite of Brian's. It's also a favorite of mine, which is the Pippin and Gandalf, death, speech or whatever that he gives him when they're kind of in that room and the orcs are banging on the door and
this is great. Yeah, it's one of mine too. I'm sorry. Don't leave me out of this. I love it too.
Well, I said I know it's one of Brian's because Brian's I've talked about it a million times, but it's like, it's reminiscent, obviously, of Gandalf and Frodo in the Mines of Moria, right? It's a similar setup as that. But I think, Brian, I'll let you. I want you let you talk about it.
No, I mean, it's you were talking a minute ago about how Jackson just doesn't spend a lot of time in one spot, and we move around and we never get bored where we are, and there is pandemonium happening around them, and. To bring, I can't recall if this is the first time that Into the West theme plays.
I think so. Yes.
I just got goosebumps by saying it. I didn't even do anything. Yeah. So I'm liking it. I'm liking it too. Just like when you're laser focused on something and the world just kind of quiets and it's these two talking about and. Again, the exact line. It's I think this is how it would be. I
think how it would end.
How it would end. And
yeah.
This is not death. It's just it's so quiet, and it gives this hope. I mean,
right?
That Pippin's been lacking, and ending with that doesn't sound so bad. And
that's the line that gets me the most when he says that.
That's not no. What gets me is the Gandalf delivery of no. Right after that, that's what kills me, and very very much the calm before the storm. Very much this moment to breathe before all hell breaks loose. That we as an audience need, and these as characters need, and just how he's able to tamper it down to this serene moment. Before fucking bedlam.
Yeah.
And it's really the way it works sort of mechanically in the script, right? Like things are ramping up at this point. Like you don't want to deflate the tension like that, right? Like this is a moment that says basically, we might lose here. And that's the question at the center of the movie, right? Are the heroes going to prevail? And this is a thing that says, well, maybe they will, maybe they won't, but they will live on, right? Like death is not the end. You don't want to kill your momentum like that in most movies. Whereas in this one, because the stakes are so high, because the doom and gloom is so pervasive, as I was saying before, through most of this movie, you really do need this scene, right? Like it's not like stakes in a normal movie where it's like, okay, like the heroes need to win. Now it's like we need a little bit of balm because it really does seem so hopeless. Like I think hopelessness is like through most of the Return of the King. That is kind of the prevailing emotion is, as much as it is like the best you can kind of hope for a lot of this is just, well, these heroic characters that we love, they're going to sacrifice themselves in just the most amazing way possible. And none of that actually happens. But like by this point, it's like, all is really lost here. And so we kind of need something just to, to just get us through. Like, we need to have this understanding that the world is bigger than what we're seeing, which it's already such a big world that we're seeing.
Yeah.
But, there's an afterlife here too. There is another place, it's not the end of the story. I love this moment. Really hit me this time. Harder than ever.
Yeah, it's really powerful. And I think, once again, it's just Jackson knows that you can't be, if you're at 10 all the time, 10 becomes 0, so you've got to, change up the volume enough to make the big moments really hit really, really hard. And it also makes these quiet moments hit even harder when you've got these big moments too. And then this is, right around the time also we get the big Éowyn scene, right? Which is, again, we have another turn, right? Which is that it looks like the Rohirrim are going to beat the Oliphants. Like they're going to do it. Like Éowyn takes that one down with the 2-sword move, very Star Wars-y kind of Hoth type of situation. And, the ring wraith comes and, kind of just tosses Theoden. And, we get this again, which I think is the central thesis of these movies, which is like, you just can't do it by yourself, right? Even in this scene, Éowyn does a lot. Don't get me wrong. She does the bulk of the work. But if it wasn't for Merry stabbing him in the back,
Also
with the leg,
not a man.
Also not a man. Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't happen, And, I think and again, Jackson's done a great job of establishing that Éowyn is not, she knows how to fight, right? Like you've seen her, like her whole arc has been, I want to fight. Let me fight. I am good at this.
Yep.
And you're holding me back for a reason. It has nothing to do with how good I am at fighting, right? You're sending like 9-year-olds to go fight, who never held a sword before, but you're sending me in the back, or whatever. And this one where she can just be fully herself, I think is really, wonderful. And again, another thing, like one of the biggest lines, one of the biggest moments in the entire trilogy, for book readers, 100% is this moment, is the I am no man moment, and the waiting for it and the way that it pays off so well. And the way she delivers that line, she delivers it perfectly. The way it looks, the way it feels. I love all of that. And I also love the scene, with her talking to Theoden, which is also another very emotional, beautifully acted scene between the two of them. So quiet and small. She's not bawling, weeping. No, you can't die. No, you can't die. Right? She is emotional, but like in a certain range. And he is so quiet and so peaceful. It really is, I think, astounding performance.
The respect and the love that they show to each other in that moment.
Yeah.
Really, really powerful. And much more so than just, like you said, a weepy sort of battlefield death scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, I don't have much more in me here. I know that we got a lot of movie left to talk about, but I've got to...
we don't have that much. We talked about a lot of the stuff, actually, that's coming, actually. But we have 1 or 2 really big scenes left to talk about. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We're holding you to it. It sounds like we're holding you to it.
It's your burden to bear, Brian.
Yeah.
I mean, can you...
This fellowship can't be broken yet.
Can you carry me?
I can carry you. I can carry you through this. So, after this battle scene's over, right? The Army of the Dead overrun everything. That's done. And once again, you've been here so long that when it cuts back to Mordor, you're like, fucking right. Frodo got captured.
and somehow hair looks fine now.
Yeah, hair's great now. Back to that great wig. Do you wear wigs?
I watched it right after.
Oh, you did? Have you you've seen that clip, right, Nick?
Nick, do you know about that? Okay.
The meme. So. It's this interview. Yeah, you want to tell
very quickly.
Yeah.
And I thought it was for Fellowship. It was actually promoting Return of the King. It's on the DVD. Wood is being interviewed by Monahan via satellite. Monahan can see Wood, but Wood can't see Monahan. And Monahan's doing a ridiculous German accent as an interviewer. So Wood's like, what is going on? Like, he's just laughing at like these absurd questions. I won't ruin any of it for you. I will send you the link.
Yeah, watch it. It's very funny.
It's 9 minutes.
Yeah, but the one moment is the one that really went viral, is the one question.
Yeah.
The do you wear wigs question. And it's so funny because there was an interview recently where they were talking about that going viral, and Elijah Wood goes, I don't know why I was so like put off or adamant. He's like, I wore a lot of wigs in the Lord of the Rings movies. But anyway, so we get another, orcs fighting each other scene. We get another brave Sam moment. We get a very important moment where Sam has the ring and has this little temptation moment to show you that like just how powerful, this thing is, and also how much of a sacrifice, Frodo is really making, where he does not want to see his friend tainted by this thing at all, right? Because it would be very easy for him to just let Sam carry it the rest of the way, and he doesn't. So like that a lot. I mean, we have, there's a lot more. This is another thing the extended edition does a lot more of. The scene is longer in the extended edition, where the fight, the sort of like marching through Mordor stuff dressed as orcs is a lot longer in the extended edition. Like that whole scene where there's like that person sniffer that like is trying to root them out, Nick, in the extended edition, where he's like looking for them and they start a fight, everything like that. That's none of that is in the theatrical version of the movie. This part is very condensed. They're basically at this point, they're like, let's just get to the ending basically of
which
the movie.
I do understand. I mean, if
for sure.
there's like one set of scenes here that I think maybe we could lose out of the extended edition and not lose a whole lot.
Mhm.
You know, like just because we know what's coming, like we know they got to get there at some point, and
Yeah.
you know, we kind of understand that they are going to make it and how they're going to make it. It's not like a terrible plan. We've already kind of seen them disguise them. We've seen that in Star Wars and so many other movies before.
Yeah.
I
Again,
can
this
live
is
about
all
this.
by this point in the Lord of the Rings movie releasing. This is total. This is for the book people shit. Like, this is like him being like, we shot this stuff, I'm putting it in because they're going to know that I shot this stuff. People want to, you know, the nerds like me want to see the scene where they march with the orcs and all this other shit.
Yeah,
right?
but
So,
structurally, it's like
no, you understand when they cut it out of a movie,
very, very clumpy.
a
Yeah.
theatrical version of a movie. It's probably an easy cut for them, right?
At the beginning of this conversation, I said, you know, nothing feels like it kind of
Mhm.
fizzles and nothing is really extraneous. This is pretty extraneous, I would say.
Brian, we got to talk about your favorite moment, which is in the throne room of Gondor after the big battle. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do.
Aragorn has
Right,
a,
like-
yeah,
Aragorn has a great idea. He spells out exactly what they're going to do, which is we're going to draw out the orcs and draw out Sauron's attention so that Sam and Frodo can sneak past and dump the ring into Mount Doom. He says this explicitly, and then Legolas says,
a diversion.
he basically gives the Cliff Notes version of what he
No,
said. I don't think it's...
he defines what it
Yeah, we all already knew. I don't blame Orlando. I don't think the Orlando Bloom line reading is bad. It's just like one of the most pointless, useless
Yes.
lines.
a diversion.
A diversion. Okay, we didn't need Legolas to have a line here. Like, that's all I feel like in that moment. You know, so, but I love this concept, right? And it's such an important thing to hammer home again, which is like, what do you do after this giant, the biggest battle probably in movie history? What do you do? You know, but the whole point is hammered home, like, this is just, we're just buying time. We're just buying time. We're going into a situation where we know we're going to lose. If Frodo doesn't destroy that ring now, if he does, we might lose, but it's worth it because he'll have destroyed, you know, the ring, basically.
It's a last stand after they already made a last stand just a couple minutes earlier in the film. Yeah.
Yeah. And we get to see Viggo in his full, like, kingly armor and
Regalia.
getup. He looks great. We get a great speech from him.
They
It
do
is not this day.
It's probably the fastest they move people in the trilogy.
Yeah, it's not, but to be fair, it's not that far.
Gondor and
from
Mordor are
Gondor.
pretty close.
Yeah, they're pretty
Well,
close.
yeah,
They're
you
right
can
next to each
see
other,
them
basically.
from-
Yeah.
But it's like-
exactly.
Yeah, as
It's
we
like
said before.
we need to
Yeah.
buy these guys time.
Mhm.
I know what we should do.
Mhm.
Structure a military campaign from scratch.
Yeah. To be fair, they just take a couple soldiers and go walk in front of a gate and go, "Hey,
Yeah, it's not really complex military strategy. You don't need to plot that out in the war room, right? It's
Yeah.
just that we're going to go there and do this.
I do love."
We're going to
Brian,
go there and just let them know that we're there.
Yeah, Brian, you got to tell me, in the theatrical version, does Aragorn look into the Palantir and, like, challenge Sauron? He doesn't, right? Which I think is a very important scene and a great scene in the extended edition. You know, Aragorn basically takes the Palantir and goes like, "You've been looking for me, and I
Nope.
got this now." And he shows him the sword.
Oh,
And that's what, like, draws them out, like, basically.
that's pretty
is
cool.
like, yeah,
That is
it's
a cool moment,
it's
yeah.
very cool. Yeah.
no. It's mostly, hey, that eye's moving. Okay.
Yeah. And also, like, the mouth of Sauron obviously isn't in the theatrical version. And you don't even know who I'm talking about, Brian. He's a crazy guy who looks like he's wearing Sauron's tower as a helmet, and he's got a big, ugly mouth with big, sharp teeth. And basically, he's just like, you know, Sauron doesn't have a body, so he's basically like Sauron's, like, stand-in for talking.
Little
yeah, it's like
like a
somewhat of a-
Metatron.
Like a
Yeah,
Silent
basically.
Hill kind of thing.
He looks like a Silent Hill monster, but yes, he is like Metatron, basically, from
Yeah.
Takuma. Yeah, exactly what he is. You know, Pete's having a good time because it looks disgusting and it's weird and kind of silly in its way. Creepy, yeah.
Definitely creepy.
It's the
You
Jackson
know,
sweet spot. Like, kind of creepy, kind of funny, kind of weird.
It's
Yeah.
what's his name from The Frighteners a little bit.
Oh, yeah, what?
Jake Busey.
Jake Busey.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jake Busey. So Aragorn cuts off his head, and that's really what, like, flicks the eye off of Frodo when he's, like, laying there and, like, you know, like, can't move because the eye's on him.
That's not in the theatrical?
It's the mouth of Sauron stuff?
Yeah.
No.
That badass scene where he beheads him?
No.
The other, like, most metal thing I've ever seen in any
No.
movie ever? Oh,
No,
wow.
no, that's not in the theatrical. Again, a big, like, for the book lovers, like, scene because people were waiting
I've
for
never
that.
read the book, but I love that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one that I definitely want to leave in.
And then I will say, I think both Elijah Wood and Sean Astin are so good in this next couple set of scenes leading up to the ending. You know, the whole like, you know, do you remember the taste of strawberries thing? And I love the score too, because it goes from like that, like the Shire theme into this like really dark, the minor version of it. And then like it builds into the, you know, the like into the West sort of like feel like, you know, triumph like theme when Sam picks him up. This is, I cry every single time. I can watch this scene I can just watch it
on your,
like separately
in your car at a red light.
Yeah, basically, like, I'm going to put it on YouTube. I'm going to watch I Can't Carry It For You, but I Can Carry You scene.
And you just cry.
And I'll start weeping.
Yep.
Because, again, it's just one of the things where it is what these movies are about, right? It is what these movies are about. It's about, like, helping each other through tasks. Like, you know, Frodo could not have done this alone. He needed Sam. And, like, this is just, like, the perfect encapsulation of all of that. And then that fucking guy shows up. Gollum shows up, and
he's a real dick.
He's a real dick about it, you know? He says, clever hobbits to climb so high. What a shitty thing to say to them.
What's he supposed to be nice now?
Yeah, exactly. You know, I guess, I mean...
What a great... again,
I was going to ask, like, how you felt about it, Nick. Like, when you were...
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've loved it every time I've seen it. I love Mount Doom. I love the fact that we've been seeing it. You know, we've been talking about it for 3 movies now. And it was another one of those things where, like, when we get there, or when we're, like, right in the middle of it, this better be impressive. And it was, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this is a movie... How do you not be disappointed by this with everything that's been set up? And yet no time have I seen it, have I ever been like, oh man, this could have been better, or this didn't live up to the hype or anything. Like, everything is kind of exactly the way it should be. You know, this river of lava, like it really does. We are in the lowest circle of hell here, and it needs to look like that. It needs to feel like that. And it is just so beautifully put together. I mean, you feel the heat from that lava. You just feel the height of the precipice that they're on. And, you know, it's an Indiana Jones scene, right? It's straight out of like an adventure serial, and yet it's also so much darker and scarier and more imposing and impressive than that. And it's a beautifully done scene, and it had to be, right? Like if they fucked this up, then everything leading up to this, like, you know, probably would have lost a lot. But they didn't.
Yeah, he walks into Mount Doom, and it's Ben Kingsley being like, "I'm not actually the bad guy."
Hello, chap. There is that moment too where, like, they get to the mountain and you're like, all right, they have to still climb a mountain.
Yeah, not just any mountain, Mount Doom.
Yeah, it's called Mount Doom, guys.
The craggiest of them all.
It's true. And like, I guess, like, it's weird, right? Because again, I'm watching this knowing what's going to happen, right? It's like I'm waiting for moments to happen. And so, you know, that moment in the book where he says, "The ring is mine," and he puts it on. Like, when I read the book for the first time, I literally was like reading the book, and then I closed it and put it down. Like, it was like, okay, like, what the hell is going to happen now?
Like, psych yourself up for the rest of it.
Yeah, and again, it's another thing too.
Or erase it. Like, I didn't see that.
Yeah, exactly. No, Frodo, what are you doing? No, Frodo. But you know, the things where somebody will say, like, oh, it's kind of like deflating. Like, he doesn't do it. Like, he doesn't drop the ring in himself. Like, it happens because, you know, Gollum bites his finger off, and then they fight, and then Gollum falls off, you know, and...
Is that exactly how it is in the book?
Exactly how it is in the book. Yeah. But I think even it's criticism of the book a little bit too, right? But I think, once again, it's this... Tolkien does not have this... He does not put stock in you took it to this place. You have to be strong and drop it in, you know, like, and be like, no, I renounce this thing and drop it in. Right. He doesn't have that as part of it. He understands that sometimes things are just too big for someone. This little creature has done more than any person could possibly do. And he got it this far. You know, like, just because he doesn't physically drop it in himself doesn't mean it's any less. He got it here, right? And that would not have happened if he hadn't gotten it here. And it wouldn't have happened also if he hadn't had helped Gollum, if he hadn't have befriended Gollum, if he hadn't have let Gollum live, if he hadn't let Gollum guide them to what happened, you know? And I think that sort of confluence of events is what I think makes it satisfying as an ending to the story of the ring, basically.
Yeah, and again,
One of many.
I really
endings.
was
One of many endings. Yeah.
the first time I saw this, I'm like, he's gonna just hold it and jump in, right? Like that's where the story has to go. Or him and Gollum are going to fight for it, and he's going to grab him, that thing that we've seen in movies before. It's like the Terminator 2 ending or something like that. It would be a lot like the Terminator 2 ending.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's not that, I think it works here. It's fine. I also love the shots of the ring in the lava where you see it kind of just floating on the surface for a while. And I was like, wait a minute, did this plan like not even work? There's like little moment of suspense. Like, is that going to sink? And then it does. But for a while there, he kind of draws it out a little.
You were supposed.
No.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So it's easy. We spell it with two zeros for the O's, and you mistook that. Happens all the time with GPS.
Yeah,
all the time.
Totally. I think Brian's like, I don't have any time. I need to go to bed. And he's like, but I got time for a 3-minute bit about the spelling of Mount Doom.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Almost like it's my lifeblood. If I can tap into the bit, it'll keep me alive a little longer.
And I have always loved in the book and the movie the fact that Gollum gets it on by biting his finger off. I just think it's like, of course that's what you would do. It's not like it's the Infinity Gauntlet.
His invisible finger off. And
yeah.
In a way, he does get it.
He does.
Gollum, he has his moment.
He fulfilled his vision quest. He got the ring back. He looks damn happy about it.
Yes, and I love that too. We get to see him he gets like however long it takes to fall, whatever that distance is. But before he just has this moment of, yeah. And we see him like, I made it. Here we are, guys. I did it.
But I also, when he first gets it back, he's not like, yeah, filthy hobbitses. Now I have my ring and you will die. He's just psyched he's got the ring.
Yep.
Like, that's all
they're
he
like not
cares
important
about.
anymore.
He doesn't even care about them anymore.
They're just totally extraneous to his quest.
I love that. I think the destruction of Mordor is like visually insane and looks so good even now. Like everything blowing up. I mean, we didn't mention I love the moment where Aragorn turns back and says for Frodo in that like really quiet, all the sound drops out and he just very quietly and they run.
A slow motion charge toward certain death. Yeah.
Brian's biggest weep line, which is what if about dying side by side with a friend.
I don't cry at that anymore.
Okay.
I used to.
I know you did.
Yeah, I've got two guaranteed cry moments in the movie, and they are the I can't carry it for you and one that we're coming to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know which one you're talking about, obviously.
Of
course.
Yeah.
I love we talked about none of the major characters dying, right, in this movie. And Nick, you and I have talked about several times where just killing a character is not in itself profound in a storytelling sense, right? Often it's not. Often it's a cheat or it's just like a shortcut.
It's the easy way to achieve profundity when you don't necessarily have it.
The important thing in a story is the characters need to be willing to sacrifice themselves for what they're going to do. Whether they die or not is not really material to that fact.
And there are consequences that are bigger than death, right? Like death is the end of the story, whereas Frodo, doesn't get that, right? As we're talking about, Tolkien, like the people who die in war don't have to live with the memory of having gone to war and killed and seen their friends killed and things like that. And Frodo is traumatized by this and can never be the same again. He goes there and back again. I love that. I love that phrase so much. But like, he's never going to be the same and never can be the same. And like, that to me is very profound, more so than like, I sacrificed myself. I did the right thing. I died. I saved the world. End of story.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that, moment, where, performance by Elijah Wood when he's like, the ring is gone, it's done, that relief. And the fact that he says he can see the Shire again, and I love, Sam talking about Rosie Cotton and how like that it's his regret. And I love it's in the book, but I just love the way Elijah Wood delivers that. I'm glad to be with you, Samwise Gamgee, here at the end of all things. It's such a great
at
line.
The end of all things.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many phrases. Yeah. Like that too.
Yeah.
And he gets back to the Shire, right? Like, because there is some part of us that's like, we need to see that place again. We need to see him in that place again. We need to see Bilbo again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which we do.
And we get all of that. Like it really. it takes us to this very, very deep sort of place where, we have to consider what he's been through and the fact that he'll never be the same. But we also get the joy of this redemptive, happy ending. We get so many of them.
Yeah.
Then leading to something that's even more devastating, which we will get to in just a second.
Yeah. And I think, I love that they really spent a little bit of time being like, the Shire is the same, right, as when they left it, but they are not the same. None of them are the same. Even Frodo's obviously the most changed, but, none of them are the same. That moment.
Merry and Pippin have killed a lot of people at this point.
They have.
They've tasted blood, yeah.
Kind of their moment in, like, the Green Dragon or whatever when they, they do that little cheers, but they look, kind of sad about it. We, of course, have, Brian, I think the scene you were talking about, the crowning of the king. Arwen shows up,
but masks herself for a minute. Like, I gotta be behind this thing.
Surprise!
Oh,
yeah. But then we get the scene with the hobbits. They bow to the new king, and Aragorn says, "What, Brian?"
No, my friends. No, my friends. You bow to no one.
And then everybody bows.
Everybody bows.
And then I start crying.
And I start, openly weeping.
Yeah, absolutely. Great scene. Again, this is why when people go like, there's so many endings, but all of them are good.
Yes.
And all of them give you something. They give you an important thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just a repeated, like, here's a happy thing, here's another happy thing. No, it's a payoff of something that's been set up for hours and hours at this point.
Yeah.
And maybe this is not true, but I'm glad to be with you at the end of all things on the rock fade out. Like, if it said the end, you would feel a little bit like, wow, there's other things I would have liked to have seen there. But you could call that an ending.
You could. Yes, you could.
And then they go get convalescing and everyone's together, and it's a little bit like the real version of the end of Happy Gilmore with Abe Lincoln, and like it's that scene, right? And that could fade out, and that could be the end.
Yeah.
And the king is crowned. You bow to no one. The end. It could they could all be that, but you'd be feeling like, I wish I had a little bit. I want to know a little bit more about how this ends. And that's what it is. It's extending, like, it's a coda. It's really just what it is.
And also, I think the thing I always I say to people who aren't necessarily like, I don't like this, but are kind of like, why does it have to take so long to just be over? Because he's not really ending one movie. He's ending 3 movies, right?
Well, exactly.
That's really
would
what
be
it
overkill in one 2.5-hour movie, but like we're bringing this whole thing to a conclusion, and there's a lot of as I said, we've been setting this up for so long, like longer than anything has ever done something like this before. So it's like, we want to spend a little more time with these characters. It never feels like, all right, just be done. I never got that sense out of it, and I think that's what's kind of been built up over time just by shit talkers. And when you actually watch it, like, there was never a moment, like, I wasn't like checking the time, like, how much more of this do we have left? I kind of wanted these scenes to stretch out a little longer, if anything.
And I got to tell you, I don't know if you know what happens in the books, but there is a huge section of the book that's not in the movies, which is the hobbits go back to the Shire, and the Shire has been overrun and taken over by, like, orcs, like Saruman's orcs, and they have to raise an army of hobbits and fight them off and take the Shire back. It's called the Scouring of the Shire. It's like a big portion of the Return of the King. Obviously, it makes sense why it's not in the movies. Obviously, you can't do it again. You can't do another thing like that,
Hey, at the end of this 4-hour movie, let's do another battle scene.
Yeah, we'll do another 30-minute scene where they raise an army. But, and then we get to the end, really what the end is, which is, the last ship leaving Middle-earth for the elves, going to, Valinor, across the sea, where the elves kind of live in the Undying Lands, and mortals can go and live out the rest of their lives with, basically, it kind of takes their trauma away. It lets them live in a peaceful place where,
they're like ascending to the astral plane kind of thing.
Well, really, it's not. Really, it's just like a world where it's just another country, basically, where they get to be like peaceful until they die, basically. And then
really?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's not, I read it as, like an ascent literally to heaven. You kind of become something other than a corporeal being.
I think you're meant to just give, like, I don't think you're really meant to take any concrete answers away from the movie, which is fine. I like all the interpretations
Well,
of it.
the boat sailing off into the ether is that to me.
I mean, it's basically going to a place where you can't return from, but they don't like, they're not going to like the afterlife there. That's just like, they go there and then eventually they will die, but they'll get to live out the rest of their lives happily. And Sam gets to go as well later on because he was also a ring bearer. Just a little note on there. But
in the books. Yeah, because we need to talk about the Sam scene that ends this.
So, I mean, the big surprise of the scene, right, is that Frodo is also going.
Right.
And this scene also usually, I'd say if I watch the movie 10 times, 8 times out of 10, this scene will also get me and make me cry.
This one got me.
Yeah. Look on Sam's face when he realizes Frodo's going, and the hug they give each other is just like, it just warms me up. Like, oh, it makes me sad, but it also like is so heartwarming and wonderful and beautiful. And the look that Elijah Wood gives when he walks onto that boat, that smile that comes on his face, it's like, we haven't seen him smile like that in like 2 movies. It's in the beginning of Fellowship, basically. And it's just really wonderful, to see it.
Back with Gandalf again. I mean, that's when he smiles in that first movie. That's his happiest moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Really wonderful scene. And then you want to talk about this is the part you want to talk about, or the very, very end, Nick?
The very, very end. So after this, and again, seeing this, this is what I love about all of these movies. You see a great movie as a younger person, you have a certain perspective on life, you have a certain experience, and you bring that, it becomes a different movie, right? The next time you see it. So this last scene with Sam, I always thought was really nice. I always thought it kind of ended things well. It was a nice, fun idea to just bring him back to the Shire and have this little domestic scene. This time, seeing it as someone who has a child and is older and is kind of looking back on a lot of my life now. This scene fucking broke me this time. Before it was like, what a great way to end this movie. And now it's like, oh my God, this is more than I can handle.
Yeah.
Walks into his house with his wife and his children. And it's like, this is what we return to, like all of this, these hours, these massive battles, this quest, to the ends of the earth and back again. And here we are, this little domestic scene, and there's nothing to it. She just sort of comes out and his kids run out of the house. And like, that is the most beautiful thing. Reminds me a lot of one of my favorite movies is Raising Arizona. Very goofy movie that ends with this lovely scene of just kind of familial togetherness and kind of posits that as like the greatest of all things. And this does kind of the exact same thing in a movie that, was not silly and goofy the whole way through. And it's such a small, lovely, relatable moment. And, I wanted to just like wake up my daughter and hug her. I didn't, because it was about 2 a.m. by the time I get to the end of this movie. It's
Daddy loves you.
Get up, Daddy wants to hug you. Yeah. I wouldn't do it, but certainly the next morning. It just works for me on levels now that I guess I sort of understood before, but never really understood the way I do now. And, that's my sappy ass feelings at the end of this movie, this trilogy.
Yeah. I mean, I feel very similar to the way you felt. It definitely affected me more this time than any other time I've watched it, for sure. And it is very much this idea of like, this is what it was for, right? This is what all of it was for these moments.
This magical land, right? Like all of these wonders of Middle Earth. But like, what's actually really great is just being home with your wife and kids.
Yeah. And I just love it. I love that moment. I mean, it's a great line. It's in the book. It's the way the book ends too. But well, I'm back, like line, which has a lot of meanings for him, right? Which is like, I'm back from where I just was, like saying goodbye to Frodo, but also I'm finally back.
I'm here to stay.
Like, like in that great, like final little voiceover piece from Frodo, which is like, you can't always be torn in two, right? Like you have to be whole for your family, like it's wonderful. Nick's gonna cry.
Yeah.
But it's a great way to end it. Small, little, beautiful, wonderful little moment. And like Brian, to your point before, it could have ended right with Frodo walking on that boat, the boat disappearing,
sailing off into
the horizon,
the sunset. Yeah, it's perfect.
On the horizon. But just the music, like,
yeah, man.
The music gets me. That theme gets me every time. Really beautiful and wonderful. And like that we end kind of the way we begin, which is just like a cozy hobbit hole in the ground.
Yeah.
where a hobbit lives, living a normal life. Like, that's like
Yeah. We're not in Minas Tirith with the new king.
No,
literally, the movie's called The Return of the King. It's about the coronation of this, like, thousands of years we've been waiting for this event to happen. But no, we're not going to focus on that anymore. We're done with that. We've seen that.
Yeah. And that's it. That's Return of the King.
We did it.
Brian, do you know how much money it made off the top of your head?
$378 million.
Is that off the top of your head, or are you looking at something?
That's off the top of my head.
I think you're right.
Because they were all very close. It's 378 or 381.
It's 381.
Okay.
381, and it made 1.14 billion worldwide.
Yeah, it was the only one to crack $1 billion.
Yes. Yep. It opened to $72 million.
It's crazy. It's just crazy to me that that's 20-year-old nonsense.
Yeah, I know.
What can you see on the? Nope.
It's opening day, Wednesday, 30. I mean, it's $72 million for the 3-day weekend. Obviously, it has a Wednesday and a Thursday, right, where it makes
30 or 40 a day.
It makes 35 on Wednesday and 17 on Thursday. So it's at 52 when it gets into the weekend.
If this happened today, if they made it today for the first time,
mm-hmm.
the third movie of the trilogy is making $150 million on the Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Right. Like
sure.
with the Thursday folded in. Yeah.
If you're thinking of like, the same sort of like build up, the same acclaim, the same general love, yes, 100%. You're definitely getting.
I'm not talking about like IP for fatigue. I'm saying if this was a fresh thing now, because I mean, I gotta go to bed, but like, I don't.
The secret is this is Brian's favorite part to talk about.
Been waiting all night for this. Yeah.
Waiting all night for this part.
No, like, has there been an event movie since Avengers Endgame? Has there been like
yes,
like the thing? Like since then,
Barbenheimer.
I mean, that was
Barbie made a lot of money. And it was an event for sure.
But but on the level of, I mean, because that movie made $352 million in a weekend,
mm-hmm.
right? Like, we haven't had a thing on that level.
I mean, you're not, but like that's
because it's a culmination of 19 movies, right? So like,
that's a whole other
thing. But like,
whole other thing.
Yeah, I think if we had this now, that would be it would rival it. But I
mean, possibly, yes, absolutely, yes, very, very possibly. I'm trying to see like what the highest grossing. I mean, Avatar.
Way of Water made a ton of money, but it's not it doesn't have the cash.
I mean, that's always the thing. Right? With Avatar, right? I mean, Avatar. I would say. I mean, that's really. I mean, it's Marvel stuff. Other than that, it's like Spider-Man: No Way Home was probably the last time we really had a lot of money. Deadpool, Wolverine, Barbie. I mean, Barbie definitely is in this conversation. I do not want to shortchange Barbie at all.
Well, and just the fact, and it was such a manufactured thing, but the fact that you had those two movies come out like same day or back to back or whatever, and a lot of people saw them both.
Yeah.
That was kind of they made it an event. I don't think it organically was an event the way this was, but it was. You got a lot of people into the theaters to see a brand new movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When, what was that, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago, 2023. All right.
But that's literally the only thing coming to mind.
Absolutely.
It's almost 12:23. Not really. But.
It's 12:02. Get out of here, Brian.
All right. Wait. Seriously? Get out of here?
No, we're wrapping up. Okay. So we did it. We talked about the 3 Lord of the Rings movies. Our biggest ask, I think, of this whole miniseries for us, Nick, is done.
This was daunting, but I'm glad we did it, and it was wonderful to see these movies again. Like, these movies are, if they're not in the all-time conversation, you're not a film fan. I feel like you really, whether you like this genre or not, whether you're a fan of Peter Jackson or not, like, these movies are an achievement. They are going to last. People will be looking at these 100 years from now. It's the fact that he hasn't done anything on this level since then. It's like, how could you?
You can't. I mean, that's the thing. You make this and you don't. I am just sad he hasn't made a movie, a narrative film in so long. Like, that's the thing that I'm most bummed about, to be totally honest with you.
I want to see him go back to low budget, bad taste kind of world.
It's got to do a pull a Sam Raimi, right? And do
Yep.
his like Drag Me to Hell or
Yeah.
whatever. Now we've just got like kind of weird objects left to talk about, and they'll be fun. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to talk about King Kong.
Weird objects that are also many, many hours long.
Yes, I'm excited. King Kong's a good movie. I'm excited to watch King Kong again.
It is, yeah.
Lovely
It's been a
Bones,
while
I'm
since I've seen
not
it.
particularly excited about, but because it's very sad and not very good in my memory, but we'll see.
Got
And
the
then we got
Tooch.
the Hobbits. So and those will be fun to talk about. They're weird movies, so that I think they'll be fun to talk about.
They are.
But until then, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Go to intrepidfilmographers.com. That'll be our Substack. Check out the stuff we do there. And next time will be King Kong. But until then, thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
He doesn't know. He doesn't. I say thank you to you. You say thank you to Nick. And Nick will thank me. All right, you ready?
Okay.
All
He's
right.
never listened to the show
He
before.
never listened to the show once. And he wasn't here for the ending of Gone Baby Gone, so he doesn't know. Until next
It's
time.
the worst fucking fellowship ever.
Exactly. He's
I'm not
a real
carrying either one of you.
real Sean Bean over here.
Scene bean.
Real scene bean.
A little real Sean Bean. Until next time, thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Nick.
Boy, he really doesn't get this at all.
He said it.
I said
He said thank you, Nick. And you say thank you, Bobby. Now who doesn't get it, Nick? You're here every
you
night.
son of a bitch.
We're doing it again. Take 4. All right, ready?
How
Until
many
next time.
endings does the
And he's leaving it all in.
How many
Yeah.
endings does this show need?
It needs as many as Return of the King. And this one's making me cry very similarly to the Return of the King because I also want to go to bed. Until next time, thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Bobby.
And thank you to everybody who is listening or watching. Until next time, be good to one another. Later.